Miss Demon Maid ch 41-57. Chapter 41, Into the Forest. Now that all members are here, we'll be leaving for the Devil's Forest. The members are Miss Minami, the Green Saint who is supposed to heal the forest, 3 palace maids, and 5 knights of the palace guard. There are a few hired baggage carriers. From the Magic Academy side, there are 10 volunteers who are the same senior students as My Lady. Among them are Mr. and Mr. Hao. They will be accompanied by Mr. Maso and an elderly teacher to lead them. And our dangerous body, My Lady. Letty, you're thinking strange thoughts again, aren't you? My Lady is a real comfort to me, isn't she? What are you talking about? My Lady is really lovely, as her face turns red when she is praised. Not only the boy's eyes were soothed, but even the seemingly withered old teacher was cheered up in many ways just by the My Lady's appearance. I'm so shaken up. In the meantime, I've sprinkled poisonous moth powder on those who look insolently at My Lady, so let's get into the carriage. It would have been good if we could have used Ma's carriage, but we can only use the carriage up to the entrance of the forest and have to leave it there. If we leave it there, Na would eat all the monsters in the Devil's Forest, and we would be in a lot of trouble. Na seems to be lonely because he can't go out with My Lady he loves so much. If I find a big thing like that firebird, I will hunt it down as a souvenir. There are several carriages, but there are only 2 carriages for the nobility. I heard that Miss Minami, Mr. S and Mr. Hao ride in one carriage together. In the other carriage are My Lady, I, and Dr. Maso. But how is it that so many of them are suddenly suffering from eye injuries? It's strange, isn't it, Doctor? For some reason, some of the boys and their teacher were sent to the infirmary because some of them hurt their eyes when they were leaving. There are too many strange things happening. Why did the Holy Beast disappear? That Holy Beast has been protecting this country since the founding era. How could Elias, who had tried to join us, get sick to death from the coffee he drank in a coffee shop? Sharon, can you think of anything? No, I don't have a clue either. I have a feeling that there's some kind of evil will at work here. Oh, that's scary. Anyway, a few hours later, we arrived at the Demon Forest. Although our numbers are a little small, let's head deeper into the forest. Yes, my saint. The forest is calm as usual. There seem to be a few more demons, but I killed the strongest demons beforehand, so it was only the familiar face of the griffin bowing to me from a distance. Nice shot. The lower half of the orc that tried to attack My Lady got blown away. Oh, thank you, Letty. I'm glad you're not hurt. The only things attacking us are weak demons. It's strange. Strong demons don't appear, but around here, there should be a few more troublesome demons that use petrification and poison. Just as conveniently, the level of things that appear are things even the knights and students here can deal with. It's as expected of misters. Using the holy attribute, isn't it possible for you to become a holy knight as well? Mr. Hao is also very impressive. You took down 3 orcs at the same time with your amazing wind magic. In contrast, some young lady is useless with her magic. It's a break for lunch, but I can hear some uncomfortable words from those 3 royal maidservants that I can't bear to hear. My Lady's face looks down at such heartless words. According to My Lady, those 3 were the 3rd and 4th daughters of the Count and Viscount families, and the maidservant who used words of condescension towards the lady in particular was a certain Marquis family's 3rd daughter, who even the lady could not remonstrate with. My Lady grabs my hand as I start to rise quietly. No, Letty, I'm sorry. It would certainly make My Lady's position worse if she caused a scene here. But it's also not in character for me to keep being passive. What should I do? You guys, you shouldn't say such things. These people are here to help our country in a very important way. I'm sorry, my saint. It was Miss Minami who admonished them for it. If that was all, it would be fine. But Miss Minami smiled apologetically as she came all the way to My Lady's vicinity. Miss Sharon, will you forgive them? They mean no offense, either. Yeah. My Lady returns to Miss Minami's words with a puzzled look. What she is saying is not wrong, but what she is doing is wrong. She has gone out of her way to tell the others, who are unaware of who the maidservants were criticizing, that they mean My Lady. Because of this, other people are looking at My Lady. It looks like she's making a good argument, but what he's doing is raising herself up and lowering My Lady. Shall I seriously turn her into demon bait? Just when I was thinking about such a dangerous thing, My Lady gently stood up. Perhaps she read my thoughts. Thank you, Miss Minami, I am only doing my duty as a nobleman. There's no need for you to break your heart. My lady looked straight into Miss Minami's eyes and said so in a resolute manner. Her noble yet beautiful appearance caused faint sounds of admiration to leak out from the knights of the King's Guard. In the first place, the maidservants who only complained did not fulfill their duties as noblemen at all, turned reddish-black at my lady's words. The eyes of the students changed as well. Aside from Mr. S, who had exchanged words with my lady, Mr. Howe and others turned their longing eyes to my lady with their reddened faces. Thank you for your understanding. Miss Minami bowed her head with a dark expression. My lady smiled slightly at her and returned to me and grabbed my sleeve with a faintly trembling hand. Letty, my lady, you should be very proud of yourself. My lady were afraid. My lady is shy by nature, and it must have taken a lot of courage for her to say such a thing in that place. I was wrong. I knew that my lady was well built, but I must say that I still underestimated her. My lady is more than just that giant melons. What do you mean by that? After the lunch break, we left with a different atmosphere than in the morning. The one thing that changed was that there were more fond glances at my lady. Another thing that has changed is that those 3 royal maids have disappeared. What has happened to them, I wonder? By the way, I'm sure this has nothing to do with this, but I seem to have accidentally spilled some of my secret laxative on someone's meal. What is so special about it is that it not only makes your stomach slippery, but also your lower body muscles relax and go into a state of auto-discharge. I spilled exactly 3 people's worth of food, but let's hope that no one else ate it. Then we made it deep into the forest without any problems. Green Spirit, do me a favor. When Miss Minami called out to the green spirit or something like that, the plants that had been dying revived their life force all at once, and greenness grew in abundance. Letty, that is a great powers. That's right. It's funny. Miss Minami said it was a spirit, but I didn't feel any sign of the spirit moving. For some reason, the spirits didn't come near me in the first place. That's how easy it was for them to get things done. Despite the exaggeration, I heard that they have to heal it regularly every few years since the holy beast isn't there. But even if there is a next time, I'll refrain from coming along. Besides, from what I saw, the wards and such seem to be quite unstable. It won't be easy to destroy them, but ... It looks like I'll be able to do something interesting. Then we smoothly returned to the royal capital, and when we were dismissed, my lady gave my sleeve a small tug. Letty, Mr. S and Mr. Howe are waving at us. When I turned around, I saw Mr. S, who had pulled the red-faced Mr. Howe, seemingly greeting me with a slightly amused look on his face. Chapter 42, Attack. I'm back home safely from the Devil's Forest. Oops, excuse me. I'm Fluity, the wonderful maid who brings you smiles every day, but for some reason, when I smile at anyone, they often look away. It's strange. Regardless of such trivial matters, I would like my lady, who worked so early in the morning, to take a break from the 3 days and 3 nights of Sweetness Festival. We have to prepare for that event, which is only a few months away. My lady, how would you like your dress for the graduation party to be? Well, yes, it's that time of year already. My lady gave a slightly distant look at me. That's right. My lady spent 5 years from the age of 10 to 15 years old in the dormitory of this academy. Even though my lady was not treated very well, my lady must have a lot of deep emotions. Well, for me, since I will be able to go from my current status as a temporary partner to becoming the official partner of my lady, I can't help but feel a sense of joy that makes me want to jump a little. I used to dream about it when I was little. My lady mumbles this and lightly taps the seat next to her. This is a signal for me to sit next to her, and I am not the same person as I was back then when I was told to take a seat with her and sat face to face on top of my lady. So I honestly take a seat with tears of blood in my heart. My mother also graduated from this magic academy. I heard that she looked very nice in her slender figure and beautiful dress at the graduation party. It's a story about your birth mother, isn't it? Yes. I've heard stories from my mother and the queen when she was alive, and I've always dreamed wearing my mother's dress to the graduation party. I have seen a copy of my lady's mother's picture taken with magic tools, and she was a beautiful person, very much like my lady. That dress, I put it away with great care, but while I was at the academy, Miss Jidel threw it away. Is that so? It's that stepmother again. I broke her spirit and beat her into a hospital room, and she still makes a nuisance of herself. doesn't she? I let her live because I didn't want my lady to be concerned about it, but shall I crush her soul now, even if it's now? Letty, your face is a little scary. I beg your pardon. I was thinking of something a little amusing, which naturally led to a refreshing prickly face. How could it be? Be that as it may. Would you make the dress? What's gone won't come back. But why don't I make a dress for my lady in the same design? Letty, can you tell me what the dress looks like? Yeah. Thanks. Since I'm going to make it, let's bring a memorable dress back into the world with my threads as a dress exclusively for my lady. Compared to Lady Kyria, Shannon's mother, who probably had a height of nearly 170, my lady is quite petite. And if we assume that Lady Kyria's chest armor has a grade B fighting strength, then my lady's fighting strength is about 4 levels higher. In short, Lady Kyria had a slender model's body shape with a bit of a broad shoulder, so her dress was simple in shape and showed her body line clearly. If the my lady were to wear it, my lady, weapons are not allowed in the venue. What do you mean by that? Through my heartfelt persuasion, the life of many pure-hearted boys was saved. My lady is truly a terrible person, isn't she? And so, Mr. Andy, I would like you to help me see how my lady dresses. Why is this happening? The next day, while I was shopping, I visited the waiting room of the King's Guard. When a knight I didn't know tried to walk towards me with a grin on his face, a familiar knight stopped him with a pale face. As expected of a knight of the King's Guard, most of them are gentlemen. It's helpful that they don't interfere with my conversation with Mr. Andy. So when I explained the danger of the dress of my lady's mother and the dress that clearly showed her body shape, Mr. Andy nodded with a red face as he imagined that figure. Well, that's dangerous, isn't it? Thank you for your understanding. So, what do you want me to do for you? It's not that difficult. The basic form will be Lady Kyria's dress, but I'm going to change the shape slightly for my lady, and I'd like you to direct her to it. What exactly? We have dresses of that shape on display in several stores. My lady has agreed to look for a design that suits her, so I thought it would be best if we just let Mr. Andy give her a push. Then why don't you and Sharon, being of the same sex, just look around? Shy men seem to be embarrassed to go along with women shopping, but if you don't show your manly side every now and then, she'll dump you, right? No, Mr. Andy. Women become beautiful when they are praised. It is the role of men to encourage that. Yeah, right. Or would you prefer to turn your duties over to another man? When I threw him just a few cold glances and words, Mr. Andy, who had slightly withdrawn, turned serious. Okay, this is a good time to ask both of them out on a date. Since the two of them are not very good at the romantic side of things, I had to use a bit of a forceful approach. So, my lady, I'll tolerate a little more than a take-home, so please do your best. What are you working on? Apparently, my lady didn't know the meaning of the word take-home. When I told my lady about her date with Mr. Andy, she was very upset, but when I explained to her the meaning of take-home with a lot of emotion, she was really cute with her face as red as a boiled crab and her head pulled back under the covers on the bed. I'll polish her up to a shine before the day of the event, so I hope he is prepared for that. In the meantime, I have to do something about her pudgy arms. Let's refrain from sweet treats for a while, shall we? When I casually blurted that out, my lady had the most despairing look on her face that I had ever seen. Now, the day of the date. My lady, Mr. Andy is here to pick you up. When I told her that in her room in the dormitory, my lady nodded with a look of determination on her face. For today's date, I will be joining them. By nature, a noble princess like my lady would not be left alone with him, even if they are engaged to be married. As a matter of fact, my lady is a candidate to be Mr. Joel's fiancé, even though he is Mr. Joel's childhood friend and a knight in the King's Guard. If they are left alone together, there is a risk of causing unnecessary scandal. There is one senior steward on Mr. Andy's side who is an old man. Good day to you. It's nice to meet you too. The able maid and the butler don't need an extra word. We exchanged eye contact with sharp eyes and bowed silently to each other. From now on, we will accompany them like shadows and watch over them. Sharon, give me your hand. Yes, Mr. Andy. The other side over there is showing us the sweet and salty romance of a middle schooler. The high-class shopping district is not too far from the academy, so the Mercier family's carriage is parked here and we're going out on foot. But still, is there something wrong? The weather's starting to get a little worse, isn't it? We don't need rain. I exchanged idle words with Mr. Senior Butler. It's wrong to call it a cloud. A thing like mist was faintly spread across the sky. I can feel something unpleasant, and a faintly sweet smell too. The butler also seemed to have sensed something, and seemed to be wary of his surroundings. The high-class shopping street does not have any stalls, but only high-class shops for nobles or merchant families. Therefore, there are not many people on the street. But isn't it a bit too few? Do you mind if I ask you to go ahead? I'll take care of them. I felt some kind of presence behind me, and when I said that to see what was going on, the butler, who had guessed, headed towards the two of them. He's quite capable, after all. It looks like he can be relied upon in terms of combat. Still, as my lady's maid, I can't take my eyes off my lady completely. I take out a small pebble-like object from my pocket and place it on my palm. You are to follow my lady. On my hand, a spider about 2 inches long raised its paws menacingly. This spider is my subordinate that I scouted in the garden of the academy. It is somewhat aggressive, but since it is a female, I have dressed it in a small maid outfit. Normally, I have her exterminate any insects that come around the room, but let's see what else she can do to be useful. Shijur. Spider sound. The spider maid raised her paws menacingly and headed towards my lady, leaving a single thread in her way. You're here. I look back quietly as I feel the presence of the previous one behind me. I was the only one left, not because I felt it was dangerous, but because I couldn't read the intent of the presence. Let's call it a vague hint of multiple emotions mixed together. I don't know what it is, but it's not normal. Apostrophe. With the sound of footsteps, several silent men and women emerge from the alleyway, from the store, and from behind the thinly filled fog. Although they were looking forward, their eyes did not reflect anything. All of them had their faces turned towards me. Sweet smell. Are they being controlled? They were full with that sweet scent that I felt faintly earlier. Oh, 3 slightly faster people came forward from among the people approaching like puppets. And we know each other. We meet in a strange place. I don't know why they are in this place, but they are the 3 royal maids who were in charge of Miss Minami. Do they appear to be unconscious, but are they subject to subconscious influences? I can sense a hint of hatred towards me from those 3. I'm sorry, but I don't remember it at all. Suddenly, those 3 and the manipulated people attacked me with strange voices. Well, they are on foot. Against slow-moving, bare-handed civilians, I wouldn't be afraid. Nice shot, Ga. Well, only those royal maidservants are different. I launched at them from below, so the 3 rolled down the road surface. I don't know what happened to those girls, but if I dissected those 3, would I find something? Then. Earthquake. Feeling a faint tremor, I stop and look up at the sky. The fog above me is getting thicker and comes down. I have a bad feeling about this. It's better to give up on this dissection and go back to my lady. The moment I thought that and turned myself around. Gaga 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 gaga. A series of earth-cracking sounds sounded from afar, and a huge plant vine that seemed to cover this entire district stretched to the heavens. Chapter 43. Green Cage. On the wide terrace of the Sunny Palace, there was only one white table and 2 chairs. A young man and a young girl sitting facing each other. The young man is Yuri de von Elgri, the crown prince of the kingdom of Algri. The girl is Viscountess Clarice de Laniello, who has just been recognized as a saint of light. The 2 of them are enjoying a leisurely cup of tea, and the dozen or so servants and knights are about 20 meters away, so no one is around to hear their conversation. We've checked it out as well. It seems your information was correct. It's not a very pleasant one, though. I'm sorry to hear that, but we mustn't ignore the truth. I know. If you can't control your emotions and reason, you can't be the heir to the throne. That's my boy, Yuri. Yuri's mouth twisted slightly at Clarice, who smiled softly. I didn't expect this world to be in a game. Clarice is a resident of this world. However, she was born with memories and knowledge that were different from others. They're human species, who are summoned to this world every few hundred years, the memories of living in their world. She has only vague memories about herself living in that world, but she knew a lot about this world. A maiden gained the line between light, darkness and love. Clarice realized at a young age that the history of this country and the content of the game were very similar, so she read through the history books and became convinced that this was the setting of the game and the existence behind it. No, Lord Yuri. This world is real. although it has been distorted as a playground for the goddess. This world has been distorted by the goddess to be very similar to the content of the game. She calls the girls who enjoyed the scenario and brings them to this world as heroines. This world is a vast playground for the goddesses to enjoy her maiden games. A number of people's lives have been disrupted in order to live up to the content of this scenario. Even Clarice, who realized she was the main heroine, was born as a bastard child of a Viscount family and was forced to live a meaningless torment and an unwanted life. She wasn't going to allow that to happen. But Clarice decided to take advantage of it calmly. Coldly. Everything on your timetable is right on the money. As for everything else, I'd say it's only a timing discrepancy, but I'd say it's almost 90% correct. The goddess is fickle, but she wouldn't change her scenario. If this is a lie, then you're either a rare fraud or a legendary soothsayer. I'm only a heroine. So the perfect way to prosper, then, is to have you, the heroine, as queen? The main heroine, a saint, is the queen. That's all there is to it. A scenario created by the goddess that will ensure the prosperity of the country and the royal family until the next game. But does the goddess know about this talk and have no mischievous thoughts? Goddess isn't as versatile as Lord Yuri thinks she is. From what I've checked so far, the goddess don't seize the entire scene, only the events, so she did not hear this conversation. Very well, Clarice. You are now my first in line to be engaged. Thank you. Clarice bowed her head with a graceful smile that didn't change at all. Also, even if she is also a saint, please give up on Miss Minami. She is hers, and she's following the two boys like a hawk, so it's best not to get involved. That one was supposed to be my sister-in-law, but when a goddess is involved, it's a no-brainer. How do you think about Sharon? I think it was something called a villainous daughter or something. She's a good woman, sure, but that's a potential fiancé for Joel. What's the goddess going to do for her? She won't be united with Mr. Joel anyway. If you make up some sins and forcefully take away her freedom, the goddess will be satisfied. Miss Sharon is often unhappy in the scenario, so you can't save her. It's just. What? If you want that maid Miss Flaherty, you'll have to be careful. What's with her? It's that she's a character that I don't know about. Yuri's expression soured at Clarice's serious eyes. In addition to the characters, there are many others in this world, called general mobs. However, those mobs don't get deeply involved in important characters, unless it was some kind of hidden character, and that maid is a terribly creepy existence. After staring at each other in silence for a while, Yuri, who had relaxed his breath, lightly waved his hand, and Clarice stood up and bowed her head, ending today's meeting. Well then, Lord Yuri, please excuse me. Yuri suddenly calls out to Clarice's back as she says that with an unchanged smile and leaves the room. You are a very calculated woman. Clarice, oh my. You don't like calculating women, do you? Intertwined with Clarice's gaze, Yuri began to laugh in amusement. Ha ha, that's exactly why you're worthy of being next to me. At those words, Clarice's smile changed to a faint grin and she was just about to walk away. Earthquake. Feeling a faint tremor, Clarice turned her gaze towards the city. At that moment a huge plant vine broke through the cobblestones and stretched to the heavens, covering the entire high-class city block. What's going on? It's a plant. Send soldiers now and call the Green Saint and have her deal with it. Yuri instantly recovered from his rigidity and gave instructions to those around him. Clarice, who recovered from her stunned state at the sound of his voice, saw the face of the girl who is the Green Saint in her mind for a moment. At Yuri's words, it's good morning, and today here is a wonderful maid, Flaherty, who has been watching my lady grow by the millimeter. This morning she has grown by 0.37 millimeters. It is truly wonderful to see her still growing at that size. Don't you agree? No matter how many times I beat them, the three royal maids who got up repeatedly, probably because I was taking it easy enough not to kill, so I had no choice but to tie them up. The palace maidservant has taken up a lot of extra time. I think my lady is safe with Mr. Andy and the butler at her side, but as a maid, I have to rush over immediately. The thread is still connected to the maid spider I released, so I know where my lady is. It would be easier if I could jump along the roof, but the vines that grew upward are clumped together in the sky and are gradually descending in a birdcage state. At this rate, the underground might be uprooted, too. In the end, both of them will take some time, so I'll continue on through the city. Nice shot. I slammed the fat, aristocratic-looking uncle I bumped into at the corner of the road into the first hall and continue on. By the way, I neglected to check if the person I just met was being manipulated. Well, what's done can't be helped. I'm a positive woman. By the way, why am I immune? Is it because I am a non-human sticky spider? What if my lady is being manipulated? At any rate, I guess we'll just have to dress her in the baby doll that I once recommended and resolutely refused, and see what happens for a while. Oh, I know all the back alleys and shortcuts in this city as a maid. Based on that as well, I chose a path and found that huge plant vine was blocking the way. Then, full swing, boom. It's been a while since I could do a full swing with a spiky club. Normally, I refrain from hitting it seriously, as the human lower body would explode. What a surprise. The shattered vines regenerate in the blink of an eye. No, it's a little different from the regeneration, or maybe it's more like the vines around it make up for it from the moment it breaks. But I did learn a few things. The plant has small flowers, and that sweet smell is coming from them. It may be caused by insectivorous plants that make me hallucinate. Also, the pollen-like substance emerging from the flowers did not seem to adhere to the tip of the spike. There is a cursed ore embedded in this tip, but it has a strong magical power. In other words, the person being manipulated must be a person with a low magical power value. This is not good. I thought it would be safer for the moment if my lady was being controlled. However, due to the influence of my food, my lady's magic power level has risen considerably. There is a possibility that the people who are controlled by it will attack my lady. This is, as I brandished the spike club again to rush to my lady's side, manipulated humans gathered from all over the place. They must have judged me to be a danger from the previous blow. Numerous thin vines sprang up from the plant's vines and tried to entangle me. Do you want to disturb me? Really? Come on, you lowlife. Both humans and plants stopped moving at the sound of my voice as if they were stiffening. If you're going to interfere with me helping my lady, I'm going to get serious. The white part of my eyes erode to black and my skin turns a lustrous bronze color as they watch. 8-10 meter long black spider legs grow out of my maid's uniform as if they are piercing my back. The unconscious humans who should have seen my true nature begin to shake, and the plants that were exposed to my true nature decay in the blink of an eye. Please bear with me even if it hurts a little. Chapter 44, The Prohibition. The fog is coming. On the way to the designated luxury clothing store, Andy suddenly looked up at the sky next to Sharon, who was window shopping. Mr. Andy, what's wrong? Well, it's nothing. For that matter, what do you think of this dress? Yeah, Sharon nodded awkwardly to Andy, who felt slightly uncomfortable, but changed the subject that there was no need to talk about it. Mr. Andy, the old butler, who doubled as his escort and guard, quietly approached Andy and whispered something to him. He was a skilled explorer who had been able to reach close to the lowest levels, but when he became too old, he retired and was hired by the Mercier family. When he returned with a nervous look on his face, Andy realized that his hunch was correct. Sharon, the weather's going to be bad. We should go back. What about Letty? Sharon looks uneasy because of the absence of Fluidity, the person Sharon trusts the most. The old butler, who quickly returns to a mild expression, smiles at her. Miss Fluidity is on her way to do some shopping, but she'll be back soon. I see. What would that Fluidity do without telling her? Even though she was holding that thought, she followed Andy, who was trying to leave this place, and as Sharon started to walk away as well, it happened. Gaga 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 gaga. Plants rose through the cobblestones and beyond the roof of the building, covering this entire city section, and covered the sky like a birdcage. What's happening? Mr. Andy, Miss Sharon, come quickly. Okay. Using normal common sense, they tried to move away from the green cage to the central square, a place with a lot of people, but it put the three of them in a tight spot. What? Many people had gathered in the central square of the high-class business district. But the citizens, who had expected to be confused and noisy, didn't shout or cower in fright, they just stood there in silence. What is that smell? Sharon, who was sensitive to the sweet smell, looked around and saw something thin and tree-like in the middle of the central square where the people gathered, and a huge flower that bloomed. Something like pollen suddenly erupted from that flower, and the sweet smell in the area became even stronger. What on earth? What is going on? That's when Sharon and Andy felt no particular impact and looked at each other to see what they should do. Ugh. Suddenly, the old butler kneels painfully. What's the matter? Run for your life. This is the pollen of a plant with a hypnotic effect deep in the dungeon. I can't even. Hey, you need to get yourself together. M. Sorry. For the. Hiya. Sharon let out a small scream at the old butler, who suddenly let out a distorted voice. Sharon, let's get away. And now think of your safety. The others found us too. What? The citizens who had been just standing around were all coming towards them at once, as if they had finally found their prey. Hurry up. Andy threw off the old butler, who reached out his hand and started to run, pulling Sharon's stiffening hand. If there is any salvation, it would be that the manipulated people walk slow like puppets. Mr. Andy, get over here. Fuck. As a knight, Andy couldn't slay the people even though they were manipulated. Forgive me. He can only kick them away or hit them with a sheath to avoid injury as much as possible, but they still get up as if they don't feel pain. From the looks of it, if they really want to stop them, they'll have to bruise their whole body so that they can't move by hitting them to the very edge of not dying. Ha. 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 Sharon, I'm going to pick you up. Yikes. Sharon is starting to run out of breath as she runs away, and Andy picks her up and runs off. But, I'm heavy. You are light. Mr. Andy. It's true that compared to the heavy armor he wears in training, Sharon and the like would be light. But his strength is limited. The streets, which had been sparsely populated until then, were filled with manipulated people from all the buildings. Mr. Andy? Andy suddenly grunted and fell to his knees. He still lowered Sharon to the ground without dropping her, and she hurried to his side. Are you okay? I'm sorry, but I guess I'm not going to be able to. Oh no. Sharon gulps as she looks like she's about to cry. Leave me. And run. Quickly. I can't just leave Mr. Andy behind. They're going to come after you, the only one with more ego than me. Quickly. Find Miss Flaherty. Mr. Andy. Andy smiled slightly at Sharon and touched her cheek as if admonishing a child who didn't listen. I want to protect you. As he was about to say something, strange noises began to escape from Andy's mouth. The next thing she knows, people controlled from all directions were quietly closing in on Sharon, and her escape route was blocked. Sharon might be able to break through if she used her attack magic, but as a nobleman, Sharon is determined to protect her people. She can't hurt her people. She won't give up until the end. But Sharon also realizes that it's only a matter of time. Her only regret is that she won't be able to be with her friend, that girl at the end. I'm sorry, Letty. Creepy. At that moment, a chill ran through Sharon as the hair of her entire body stood up. The daylight that had been there, even though the sky was covered with vines, instantly turned into a dark night, and in that slight vision, Sharon saw the shadow of a giant spider. Here you are, my lady. Letty. For a moment, her fainting consciousness is brought back by the voice of one of the maids. Letty. She hugged the maid with a tearful voice, and the maid stroked her head with a very gentle hand. You have done your best. The next thing she knows, all of the people who had been manipulated had fallen to the ground, as if their consciousness had been torn away by a tremendous force. Still, they didn't seem to be dead, twitching, and struggling to get up. But no one seemed to be able to move properly. There are still people who have been manipulated. Let's retrieve Mr. Andy and the butler and get them out. Sharon stands up as well, wiping her tears away. But, what? I wonder what's going on here. What happened? The people who had fallen suddenly stopped moving, and those who had been approaching from afar also began to fall on the spot. Letty, look at that. A light shone from the heavens and the vines of the plants that had covered the sky began to wither in the blink of an eye. The sweet scent that had filled the air was blown away by the wind, and it was all back to normal. This is a good opportunity. Do you want to escape like this? When Flaherty asked, seeing that the danger was over, for now, Sharon took a deep breath and then shook her head firmly. No, let's attend to the fallen people. Letty, can you help me? Yes, of course, my lady. What the hell? Minami stood in front of the old mirror in her room at the school, horrified. This complete incident was caused by Minami. She wanted to make Sharon the villainous daughter. She would put up the divine white face and made Sharon hated. However, Sharon continued to stand firm no matter what was done to her. Minami's target Mr. S and Mr. Hao looked at Sharon with admiration, rather than dislike. That was unacceptable. With that thought in mind, Minami thought about killing Sharon. Would Minami become as usual? She would notice how short-sighted this method is. But at the time, she couldn't think of anything else. When Minami heard that Sharon and Furuti were going out of town, she sent the 3 royal palace maids to the same place to do some shopping. With the skill that Minami possessed, Green Hand, the magic that she had applied for several days without sleep or rest was close to a curse. The carnivorous plant seeds that she had planted in the 3 maids would cover the city, and the manipulated human would kill Sharon. As it is indeed a curse, it will continue to chip away at Minami's life force as long as it is activated, but as long as she is conscious, it is impossible to lift it. To check the situation, she was watching the scene with the treasure, the mirror of distant view, which she got because she seduced a butler to bring it from the palace. Kya. In front of Minami, who continued to watch the scene in stunned amazement, the distant view mirror cracked finely as if it was being eroded by power. As she, possessed by fear, staggered towards the door to escape, the door opened quietly before she could open it. Hello, Miss Minami. Miss Clarice. It was Clarice, the other heroine with whom Minami has made a pact. Clarice scowled formally as she noticed the debilitating Minami and the residue of the curse that remained in the room. I knew you caused this incident. Why are you a saintly woman commits this crime? A crime? In this game, this world is real. The cold gaze, which was loaded with contempt, frightened Minami backward as if she was being pressured. Yes, that's right. This is not the time for this. Kamishiro turned into a monster, so. Kamizuro. Ah, you mean Miss Furuti? It's true, her abilities are monstrous. No, she's a real monster, in a mirror. It's broken. It's one of the treasures of this country. How foolish of you to destroy my property without permission. No, it was she. I don't even want to talk to you anymore. Clarice interrupted Minami's words as she spat them out and began chanting her magic with her palms facing Minami. What? Mental destructiveness. A spell of mental destruction. It was a forbidden spell, and could only be obtained in the innermost part of an ancient dungeon. But Clarice, who had reached that point in a previous life's game, remembered the spell. Okay. Minami crumbles down like a doll whose strings have been cut. Even though it is called mental destruction, it does not completely cripple. The effect is the erasure of memories. Even so, it's an inhumane spell that causes people to forget even their language. But it's safe to say that the curse Minami had placed was gone. All that's left is to take a few years to build up a new personality and become a user of a skill that is convenient for Clarice. It would be annoying if people think I'm related to you for causing such an incident. Throwing these last cold words and glance at her, Clarice turns her back on Minami. Everything in this world belongs to me, so I don't need someone to drag me down as a queen. In the end, Clarice looked back for a moment, wondering what Minami had been so afraid of. But all that was there was a mirror that had completely lost its function and was cracked like a spider's web. Chapter 45, Spiders. Oh, what is this? What's happening? When I looked away for a second, I felt a huge black magical power and was so startled that I hurriedly looked over to see that the heroine has been sent to the hospital. She was the last heroine of the summon group, so I erased her carefully and gave her great skills and such. So why is she failing? But I'm busy because I'm a goddess. It's not hard to manage the living environment of humans if you don't care about them. The warding system is made up of the church members, so it's easy to just put a little effort into it, but they thank me for it and give me lots of offerings. It doesn't make me happy if they give me barley or potatoes, but they do give me sake. And I've got a young priest boy who likes to go shopping and a pretty boy who turns bright red when he sees me in his dream. You know what? What was I talking about? Oh, my favorite heroine failed. The only heroine left is the main heroine who doesn't listen to me very much. I've even added the skill acquisition alienation effect to the 3 girls that I set as the villain's daughters. So how come there are 2 of them left? As for the princess, no heroine he got there, so I can't blame her. I thought the Marquis was going to be the first to be condemned, but it's impossible for her to still be alive. This daughter of the Marquis is strange. It's hard to see, it's like she's spreading a web or something. You're a lady, you should clean up your room. This is the only one, right? I added an air of isolation, so that no one would be her friend, but I feel like there's someone by her side. When did she prepare the meal? Why is the bath boiling before she know it? Isn't this girl talking to herself a lot. Oh, creepy. It's disgusting. What the hell is wrong with you? Don't make conversation with something invisible. You're crazy. I had a feeling there was some kind of nasty person in the mix, but it must be this girl. I need to tell our main heroine to condemn this girl as soon as possible. Oh, but what if she ignores me? Why doesn't the heroine and the villainous daughter work well this time? Yeah, I've got a good idea. This was a terrorist attack by spies from another country who brought cannibalistic plants from deep in the dungeon and were exterminated by the Green Saints and Saints of Light, according to the state's announcement. In that case, Miss Minami, the Green Saint, was toxified and had to take a long treatment or something. It's a tough situation. Let's send a potted mandragora to the palace. Oh, I'm sorry. I've been feeling strange stares from afar lately. As a successful maid, 30% and 40 discounts are commonplace. My lady and I were caring for the fallen people after that, but unlike my lady who has a healing effect just by looking at her, I'm not good at detoxification. I had no choice, so I concocted spider venoms, made doping juice, and injected it into the patient's veins. A withered old man became so well that he blew his nose. At this time, the engagement of His Royal Highness Yuri, the Crown Prince, to Clarice, the Saintess of Light, was announced. It seems that the announcement was made after graduating from the academy. Some people wondered why the announcement was made after such an incident. But it could be said that the timing of the announcement was precisely because of this timing. Besides, if they delay it, they might say that Miss Minami, who sacrificed herself, is more suitable for the marriage. Well, frankly, it's not important to me. How are you feeling, Mr. Andy? I'm feeling much better, Sharon. I think I'll be back at work tomorrow. Today, we are here to visit Andy who was admitted to the hospital. As you said, the pollen that hypnotized and manipulated that man was wonderful in its effect, but the toxins themselves are not so great. Ordinary citizens and those senior stewards were discharged the day after they were admitted to the hospital. All that's left now is for a nobleman like Mr. Andy to rest for a couple of days just to be safe. Rain makes the way harder, but the two of them have overcome several crises together, and the atmosphere has become much better, hasn't it? Of course, I can't disturb them, so I'm waiting in the corner of the ceiling, where I'm stationary. On the way, a nurse who doesn't read the air came to me, so I stabbed her with poison from above to paralyze her, and then entangled her in the nest. It's okay, I won't pick it up and eat it, as it is indecent. Letty, I'm going home. Ooh, my lady wants to see me. But, my lady, you won't find me in the hallway when you open the door to the wardroom. But since I am a very capable maid, let's go up the ceiling to the hallway. Sorry to keep you waiting, my lady. Oh, where have you been? I didn't find you right away. Since you're so anxious to get started, I asked the butler to buy you some erotic underwear, which I believe Mr. Andy would like. You can't bring it out here. I was beaten with a slipper by my lady who turned bright red. Now, this time, we don't have carriage, so we're going home on foot and it shakes. It will really shake you up. It is no exaggeration to say that my lady is full of all the dreams in this world. The evidence of this is the dreamy look on the faces of the men, and rarely women, who pass by. By the way, Letty, it's about the design of the dress. I'm afraid so. Is there a design to match your own? That was the purpose of her date with Mr. Andy in the first place, wasn't it? That turned out to be the result of that, but it wasn't entirely unseen. So was the something that remained in my lady's pure mind? After all, if she says that the same design as her birth mother is good or something like that, I have to take care of it first before my lady's two deadly weapons kill. You know, I think it's fine for Letty to choose. Letty would make the design look good on me, right? My lady is so adorable when she says that with a shy smile. Since my lady says something so adorable, may I produce a wedding dress and hold her in my arms? How could it be? Well, we've already got a candidate for the design to guide us, so all I have to do now is create it. Then do it from the beginning, you might say, but I wouldn't choose to miss the chance to see my lady struggling with this and that, I assure you. Chapter 46, Partner. There are only 2 months left until my lady's graduation party. The dress my lady will be wearing is also being made with a mature design, in consideration of my lady's deadly weapon and her nice proportions. Nevertheless, people are talking about the engagement between His Highness the Crown Prince Yuri and Clarice, the Saint of Light. After all, as the next king, Mr. Yuri's ability is certain. But when it comes to the engagement, it's also a relief. On the streets, husbands who are usually restricted by their wives are clinking their ale mugs as if they found an excuse to drink. Bars and cafeterias are selling the same menu as usual, but they are calling it engagement set meals and selling it at 20% more. You again. Hey, maid. It's been a while, shopkeeper. I've come today to buy butter, honey, syrup, and white sugar. It's been 2 weeks since I've seen. Are you running a coffee shop at your place? It is not the amount of butter and honey I'd consume in a private residence. It's a maiden's best kept secret. Today we visited that shop owner's store near the Salt Dungeon. It's a good shop that gives you various discounts and various extras, even though they complain about it. Now, the owner of the store has changed a lot again. The owner of the shop where I just got to know him had lowered the protective power of his scalp to the lowest rank. So I gave him my homemade special dried seaweed, and for some reason, the seaweed mimicking hair replenished the defensive strength. It should have stopped there, but the shopkeeper met the merciless head maid. After being parasitized by soul dynamite afro-shaped seaweed, I deciding that it would return to the ocean in a few years if it continued to grow. So I cut the nucleus of the parasitic seaweed and replaced it with a haircut with a small floating ring covered with a shampoo hat. Now, the parasitic seaweed, which had lost its nucleus, was no longer encroaching on his scalp, but as a replacement, it had eroded into his body and his chest hair was mossy. The owner was happy and good with all sorts of increased defenses. Well, I feel like the number of female customers has been decreasing lately, so I'm grateful for you, maid. That's very nice of you, sir. A lady's favorite, the Lord's engagement present, rose-scented lotion for only 3 pieces of silver. That's very good of you. Can I see the honey from your rose garden? Maid. Yes, sir. Buy it. I did try to make it, but it's not selling at all because of the lack of female customers. 3 silver coins are worth about 30,000 yen in Japanese yen, nearly 300 used. It is in a 150 milliliters glass bottle, and the content is rose oil dripped into water. I won't say that it is not effective, but in terms of cost, I would say that it is about 1 small silver coin per bottle. How much is left? 99 bottles. As you might guess, he made 100 bottles and used one himself to test it out. Then I'll buy honey from the rose garden and your rum, and my usual white sugar and butter, and you can add 3 bottles of that lotion as a bonus. Geez, maid, if you're messing around too much. Would you like me to give you a hint? If you think about it, you'll attract more female customers if you give them a bottle for every silver coin they spent, rather than selling this bottle. Yeah, right. I wrote a special note and held it up in the store, and the eyes of the extraordinarily perceptive housewives were glittering. The main problem is the appearance of the sensational shopkeeper, but let me be moderately intimidating and scatter the mossy chest all over. Hey, maid, can I help you? No, it's no problem. After scattering it all over his body, he managed to look very warm and reminiscent of the original. The shopkeeper moved on to the next stage of the seaweed transformation. As such, I finished my shopping without any problems and was about to hurry back to my beloved lady, but on the way there, I felt some bad vibes. But it wasn't directed at me. There was no murderous intent. But as I followed the violent atmosphere that seemed to ooze out, there was a familiar face there. Huh? Miss Kamishiro? Hello. Mistress, Mr. How? Hello, sirs. The 2 people who walked from the other side of the shopping street were junior high school students summoned from Earth. Mistress is the same as usual. He is cheerful and good-natured, but because of that, he is unable to read the atmosphere. Mr. How is also shy as usual. He doesn't seem to be good at conversing with the opposite sex. Are you shopping, Miss Kamishiro? Yes, I was just on my way home, sir. Where were you 2 headed? Well, it's not a real deal, but would you be okay with that? How can I tell Miss Kamishiro? Right. Okay, but let's move on for a minute. It's annoying to stand in the middle of the street and talk about it. The 3 of us leave the street and go out to the back streets. We, officially became candidate partners of His Highness Joel. We was approached about it for a long time. We're on our way to reply now. I'm a little scared of girls. Oh, I see. Most of the boys had found a partner, and half of the women had been sent to the hospital or become shut in for some reason. There was a fierce recruiting battle among the female students of the academy over the 2 remaining beautiful boys. Although they are noble women, Few women are as modest as my lady. Because the noblewoman used orders, large amounts of bribes, and dragging, the two of them began to feel threatened by the rather awful situation. Mr. Joel, who hadn't yet decided on a partner, gathered them together and put an end to the quarrel by making them candidate partners. If they hadn't decided on a partner, the two of them would be in the custody of the state, so it doesn't seem to be a problem to make them partners at the same time. You'll be able to find out more about this by visiting. I am enjoying books like that. It's not like that, okay? It seems to be different. For that matter, Miss Kamishiro, what about your partner? Huh? I have no one but my lady. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to imply that. I mean Miss Sharon will have a male partner escorting her to the graduation party too, right? Is that what you mean? So, I wonder what Miss Kamishiro is going to do about it. There was an event like that. I'm my lady's maid, so I will be working behind the scenes at her side. Miss Kamishiro. Miss Sharon is coming with whom? Mr. Howe, who has been silent, suddenly opens his mouth. Oh, my goodness, your face is red. Have you caught a cold? My lady is a potential fiancée of Joel's, so it's up to her. I suppose she'll have to make up her mind soon. Check to see. By the way, we don't have a partner for the party either, so keep that in mind. I'm sorry, sir. Then Mistress reminded me to remember it over and over again, and finally, Mr. Howe pulled him away. I'm not an amnesiac either, so I won't forget it easily without repeating it. Now come out. I'm aware of you. Ho-ho. At my words, three men emerge from the back alley. How did you realize we were chasing those kids earlier? I'd say get out of here before you get hurt. That maid is very thorough. Be careful. We'll get this over with as soon as possible. Our client has a bad temper. It looks like you got a request from some young lady. I didn't know you were after them, but I'm afraid they're going to cringe if I tell them that. From the looks of it, they're more than just terrific stalkers. They are experts in the rough stuff. Not to underestimate one young maid. They surround me, trying to handle the situation precisely. It's our job too. I don't like it, but don't hold a grudge. Yes, nice shot. My spiky cudgel had hit their kryptonite just right. Could it be that they were trying to abduct Mistress and Mr. Howe? What made them think I would stop them when I was too busy? Be that as it may. Come out. I'm aware of you. The same lines, in the same direction. At my words, this time one person comes out of the back alley. No intent to kill, but there was a hint of a fighting spirit. That person is. Good to see you, Mr. Elias. Are you going for a walk? When I greeted him cheerfully, Mr. Elias frowned slightly and gently drew his sword and released it, pointing it towards me. Chapter 47, Trust. Elias is a devout follower of the goddess. Since childhood, he has heard the voice of the goddess appearing in his dreams. Her beautiful appearance and words made him believe in her with all his heart. When did that yearning begin to fade away? One day he met a maid who shook his fixed values, and little by little, like termites crumbling a huge tower, she eroded his mind. Algray is said to be a great country with a long history, but even though it has been 1,000 years since its founding, it has hardly developed from the civilization that the people of the other world called medieval. It is still understandable that the field of science has not developed because of the existence of magic. But why has there been no comparable development in magic? Why is that so? No one in this world questions it. All the benefits were given by the goddess, and they wanted it to remain the same. In the midst of all that, only the area around that maid girl had changed, for better or worse. The same is true of the lady she serves, and of Elias himself. In this unchanging world, only that dainty black-haired girl from another world, like ink dripping on paper, dyed the world's colors little by little. Elias's mind, which had begun to change, began to feel a slight discomfort in the goddess's words and actions. The goddess still appears in Elias's dreams, but why is she dressed in revealing clothes? She preaches love to those who believe in the goddess and praises Elias for it. But what about the rest of us? At that time, Elias receives an oracle from the goddess. After listening to the oracle, Elias couldn't help but exclaim. Elias knows about her. That maid serves her. Although her reputation at the academy was certainly not good, the impression he got from meeting her in person was that she was a girl with a gentle personality, so much that he couldn't understand the rumors about her. One thought comes to Elias's mind. If Sharon is a disturbance to the peace, then she is the cause of the change. If you are a disturber of the peace, you are a being who changed this world, even if only slightly. If you think that's what she is. Even at my greeting, Miss Trilas remained frowning and silently pointed the sword at me. It's troubling. I was taught by the head maid that greetings are important for the smooth conduct of human relations. I'm sorry for the delay in greeting you. The most important things in the world under the neck and above the belly of my lady. I am Ferretti. Is something wrong? Let me check out. Boom. Miss Trilas's sword, which was closing in on me in an instant, was caught with the club with spikes from under my skirt, so you could briefly see the pure white garter belts. This garter belt is not my taste, but I prepared it for my lady, but for some reason, she refused to wear it, so I have no choice but to wear it myself. Excuse me, did you see it? Oh, he could see it perfectly. I was taught by the head maid to use a woman's weapon, and indeed, for a moment, Miss Trilas's sword seemed to have slowed slightly. But Mr. Alas is still very strong. I'd say he's the best among the people of this world. There, or Killer X, that hadn't been damaged by the nice shots of numerous balls until now was slightly damaged. It's no exaggeration to say that Mr. Alas's power is at a level that could destroy me, depending on my luck and circumstances. Boom. We take our distance again while I parried Mr. Alas's thrusts. He is quite aggressive coming at me, but perhaps because of his upbringing, he doesn't seem to be very good at approaching women. More importantly, something is looking at me. This gaze is a hint of a higher level existence. I think my spider's webs will be enough to block recognition, but if I do too much, my presence will be recognized. It won't work at all against the Maid Chief and the Golden Lord, but from my feeling, the opponent should only be able to see the image of Mr. Alas suddenly pulling out his sword and starts swinging it. It took a little bit of preparation, but I am finally able to move properly too. Thank you for your patience. My spiked club shatters the cobblestone where Mr. Alas was. He seems to felt something changed and jumped back as quickly as possible. You were able to avoid it well. It was a blow that I was rather confident about. You are. I've put in enough power to crush him with a single blow. In any case, I think Mr. Alas is also avoiding death with an incomprehensible force, so there's no reason to go easy on him. Perhaps understanding the seriousness of the situation, Mr. Alas shows a more alert look than before. You're strong. Why do you fight? I don't know what you mean. I believe it was you who challenged me to a fight. Mr. Alas avoids the blow of the spiked club again without receiving it. As expected of him, he has a high level of skill. It's unlikely that he would be foolish enough to receive a heavyweight blunt weapon poorly and lose his stance. No. Why do you fight and why do you need to change the world? I don't know what that means. I did not understand what Mr. Alas meant, so I raised the club above my head to get rid of the hassle. I'm going to prepare dinner for my lady now. I have no interest in anything else. I also have to prepare a calorie-rich sweetness, which is a favorite among the ladies, so I'll finish you now. At my combative words, Mr. Alas seemed to lost his fighting will. Okay, he laughed to himself and put his sword back, and for some reason, he bowed deeply to me with a radiant face. I'm sorry. I was trying to test you. You really don't know much about it. I've been told by Mr. Alas that the goddess of shit gave him an oracle that my lady was a disruptor of this world. It doesn't look like Mr. Alas believed it. I have always believed in the absolute truth of the goddess. I was beginning to doubt that, but I took a gamble on you to see if I could really believe in the goddess. How annoying. But with this, I was sure that the owner of that gaze was the goddess. At the same time, I was able to grasp the abilities of the goddess to some extent, which is a good result. But anyway, since you challenged me to fight for such a reason, you should be punished. I understand. I surrender to the guards. We don't have time for that, so I'll do it quickly. I don't think you'll die, but please keep your spirits up and hold on. Hey, seeing me raise the spiked club, Mr. Alas turned pale. Like a certain number 1 baseball player, I lifted one foot gaily like a flamingo and launched an all-out home run shot. Nice shot. I did it and it was a grand slam home run. Mr. Alas flew over the roof, but he avoided death, so it's probably not a problem. Maybe. Chapter 48, Purple Stone. I used to believe in the goddess. Mr. Alas and I have reconciled safely, but still, Mr. Alas is a sturdy man. isn't he? I know that he was immortalized by the goddess, but I'm impressed that he came back on his feet only a little wobbly after I knocked him over the roof and into the street. Then let me tell you what I know. First of all, it is an exchange of information. The existence that is called goddess in this country was originally a mere human being who was a priestess of an old dragon with power. The fact that she took away the power from the old dragon, whose power was temporarily weakened, and created a box garden world for her to do as she wished. And when I explained to Mr. Elias that the Dragon Clan would launch an offensive against the goddess as soon as the warding was broken. I see. Mr. Elias, who was thinking about something with a slightly grim face, spoke of his considerations. First of all, regarding their box garden world, according to what Mr. Elias felt, the area of the surrounding 6 countries centered on this Algrey kingdom is roughly half the area of Western Europe. The influence of the goddess is strong in this area. The goddess's box garden world certainly seems to be stable with fewer threats from the outside world. But even though there was a lot of danger in the outside world, it felt like progress was being made without stagnation. The people in the outside world didn't seem to have any special skills, so assuming that the benefit of skills was due to the goddess, if someone is opposed to the goddess, the skills might not be usable. Well, Mr. Elias has trained himself quite a bit, and there's no way that a lady who looks like a dunce would have decent skills in the first place, so there's no problem. The important people that the goddess has chosen are immortal, but please be aware that if anything happens, their benefits will also be erased. I'll keep that in mind. Mr. Elias is willing to live the same life as before for now and deceive the goddess's eyes, while also cooperating with us when things happen. Perhaps someone like him might be the natural enemy of the hero or some other being like us, so it would be helpful if he didn't turn into an enemy. Just in case you want to go to. This is for you. What does this mean? It's a good luck charm, sir. When I wrap the black spider silk, which mimics my hair, around Master Elias' finger, he thanks me with a very impressed look on his face. Thank you. I'll take good care of it. It's simply an item that weakens the influence of the goddess and makes it harder to see him. But why is he so pleased? Be that as it may, I wouldn't want to fight a goddess head-on if I could. I'm proud to say that I'm superior in skill, but I don't intend to be foolish enough to fight head-on against an opponent who is superior in power. It would be nice if I could trap the goddess, but until the goddess is caught off guard and divulges the location of her existence, I'll have to sit back and wait for the prey to get caught in a spider's web. Now, let me return to my normal duties. Today, I have another important job to do to give calories to my lady's bouncy body. My lady, the dress has been chosen, but how shall we decorate it? There was that too. My lady, who was eating the rich New York cheesecake, suddenly looked sad. Miss, there's still more to come. I wasn't sad because I do not have enough to eat. Seems like I was wrong. So, do you want a refill? I'll have. My lady demands a refill with a look of anguish on her face as she pokes her 2 arms. That's exactly for what I am here, my lady. But don't worry, you won't be troubled. The milk from the demon material is high in protein and low in calories, and most of the nutrition is poured into the chest area, so it is still within the acceptable range. I think it's adorable to have a little bit more. But my lady seems to have a little bit of a maiden's heart that she cares about. I have a jewel from my mother. Is it the jewel of your birth mother, Lady Kyria? What Lady Kyria left behind for the my lady wasn't just an expansion bag that could store a large number of items. Most of the things were taken by her stepmother and were sold off. But only the largest item of jewelry remained, and it was delivered by her brother Joan, who had changed his mind. Here it is. What does this say? It was a stunning amethyst, about the size of the tip of her thumb, similar to the color of the my lady's eyes. The gemstone itself is very expensive, but it seems to have been roughly handled and the metal was corroded. This is also, Miss, may I polish it up a bit? What? Yes, Letty, I am fine with that. With permission, I polished it with my special spider silk cloth and scraped off some of the surfaces, and it was bright in the color of an amethyst and showed a sparkle that seemed to radiate from within. Letty, this is. I've never seen one in person before, but I believe this is a purple diamond. It's probably one that Lady Kyria got in the dungeon. Colored diamonds vary in price depending on their color, but with a diamond of this size, they should be worth thousands of gold coins. It's possible that Lady Kyria found out about her condition and disguised it, but it looks like it was taken from her before my lady could get it. Mother, leave it to me. My lady, we'll make a suitable decoration for this. So, Mr. Andy, we need your help. You again. I walked into the knight's quarters where Mr. Andy is. I need your help. What now? If you look at me like that, you will be misunderstood by the other knights, as if I always bring in problems. I told him about Lady Kyria's diamond and asked him to fix the ornamental part and give it to my lady from Mr. Andy's hand. Right. I muttered a thought to myself and he readily agreed to it. I thought it would be somewhat difficult to persuade him, but it's strange. He has always drawn a line because my lady is a candidate for Mr. Joel's fiancé, so I wonder if that has changed in some way. Well, anyway, I'm glad that Mr. Andy agreed to do so. Normally, I would put a lot of effort into making it, but platinum is hard to come by here, and for some reason, I've become somewhat uncomfortable with silver. It's not because I bought too much white sugar for my lady's calorie count and I'm on a tight budget or anything like that. Having accomplished my goal, I was on my way back to my room where my lady was waiting for me when I saw a familiar face. Oh, Miss Ginkgo, isn't it? What are you doing here? My classmate, a female student in the junior high school group, who was neutral to my tormentors, but, unusually, she's not with her partner, Miss Fua. Is there something wrong with her? I feel like she is dizzy on her feet. Has she drunk? I'm not one of those people. Normally I wouldn't care too much about it, but I am a little concerned. How are you doing, Miss Ginkgo? This is not good. Your eyes are out of focus. Did you get into some bad drugs? At any rate, I administer my special drug to wake her up, and Miss Ginkgo looks up at me with a huff after a violent twitch of her own accord. Miss Kamishiro, I'm Furity. How are you doing? When I asked her that, Miss Ginkgo's face, with a slight shade under her eyes, was twisted as if she were about to cry. I don't know. I hear a strange voice. I am a heroine. It's telling me to do this or that. Oh, yeah? Did something get caught in a spider web, by any chance? Chapter 49, in process. I sat Miss Ginkgo down at the desk I had prepared in the dimly lit room and held out a hot cutlet bowl to her. I threw a light directly on Miss Ginkgo and her face was covered with an expression of fear. Now, tell us what the goddess said to you. What are you doing? Miss Ginkgo and I were greeted by Miss Fua, who was sitting beside her desk with a hot cutlet bowl, giving us a puzzled look. It's getting hotter and hotter these days, and it's the time of year when my lady can get a lot of warmth from just a little bit of exercise. How are you all doing? I am Furity. So what's wrong with you two? Yes. I have been invited to visit their rooms in the dormitory of the academy. They look very serious as they talk, but both Miss Fua and Miss Ginkgo are devouring their hot cutlet bowl like children with a long time of not tasting the taste of their hometown. In reality, though, it's a copy of the taste of their hometown. What looks like rice is the egg of an evil octopus living in the swamp of the Devil's Forest. And the taste of the soy sauce is made by forcibly fermenting bodily fluids of various demons with my spider venom. I'll have another one. Go ahead and eat your dinner. Now, Miss Ginkgo, who had become unconscious back and forth due to being forced to receive an oracle that seemed to be from the goddess, told me more about it. That was about a week ago. It was around the time Miss Minami, who was called the Green Saint, was admitted to the hospital. When Miss Ginkgo was asleep, she began to hear a woman's voice in her dreams. The dream voice became clearer and clearer, and she couldn't sleep at night, but she kept quiet so as not to worry her roommate, Miss Fua. Ginkgo, I thought you didn't look well. Tell me. From now on, Fua, their beautiful friendship makes me want to film them and sell them. When Miss Ginkgo couldn't sleep and become fuzzy, she began to hear the voice when she was awake too, and she felt like she was daydreaming. What kind of things were you talking about? There's the prince over there. Talk to him. I'll give you a choice. Bump into the prince. Roll in front of him. You're the heroine and you need to get your shit together and go to. You really are a helpless bad goddess, aren't you? Do you think you're playing a game in this boxed world? Miss Ginkgo had managed to stay conscious when she was with Miss Fua, but when she was alone, she had become dazed and acted as the oracle of the goddess once. Incidentally, which. I once spilled tea on Master Joel's clothes and. Speaking of which, Miss Sharon scolded me for it. Oh, There was something like that, wasn't it? You really do not remember what happened in the academy, don't you? Rather than scolding, my lady was more concerned about her friend, Miss Ginkgo, saying that if she wasn't feeling well, she needed to take a break. But my lady is like a small animal who would freak out at the sight of others. Miss Ginkgo, if you're dizzy, please don't come. We know what she was doing and it's okay. Yes, the two of you seem to understand exactly what my lady was trying to say. So, when Miss Ginkgo continued to contact Mr. Joel in a state of back and forth insensibility, Mr. Joel was gradually becoming interested in her, perhaps because he was worried about her. Was this the reason why she had been feeling somewhat sword-swept by the noble ladies of her class recently? The voice said that someone was being mean to me, but there was no one there. I don't want that swiftness to be directed at my lady, so I've prescribed a slightly stronger laxative for one or two of them. But I'm sure it doesn't matter. And although Mr. Joel should be escorting one of the prospective fiancés, including my lady, as the official fiancé at the graduation party, Mr. Joel has recently received a notice from the royal palace that Mr. Joel may escort Miss Ginkgo to the party. Mr. Joel, aren't you womanizer? Of the inhabitants of this box garden world, most of the women are very calculating, but the men are more pure-hearted, or rather, when their favorability level rises above a certain level, they suddenly become desperate. Could it be that there is interference from the goddess? As you can see from Miss Ginkgo's situation, the goddess can't control humans perfectly, but she can probably do it to guide them in the right direction. Then she could. Okay, Miss Ginkgo, please let Master Joel fall for you. What? Mr. Joel is indeed cool and I don't hate him. But all of a sudden, because that voice is that goddess, right? Yes. Possibly that goddess. Both Miss Ginkgo and Miss Fua know that the goddess was just a mere priestess who took away the power of the old god. They also have strange memories of her, as if she were a reincarnated person. Assuming that the voice you hear is the oracle of the goddess, I know that even as Miss Ginkgo, she is only anxious to move as that goddess intended. I understand that you can't trust that goddess, but if Miss Ginkgo doesn't dislike Mr. Joel, I think it would be a good arrangement. Yeah. Miss Ginkgo's ears turn a little red. Oh, well, it looks like it's not too late. But Miss Ginkgo frowned as if she remembered something. But I think their goddess is thinking of something to blame Miss Sharon and Mr. Joel's sister, the princess, as well. Oh, ho ho ho. That's pretty interesting information. In the meantime, let me know when you find out more details. I will deal with my lady and the princess. Yeah, I'll tell you. And I'll give you both these. Please wear it at all times. I will give Miss Ginkgo and Miss Fua a ring-shaped friendship bracelet made of my spider silk. This is the same as the one I gave to Mr. Elias, and to some extent, it has the effect of blocking the goddess interference. If you block it completely, even the skills and immortalization will disappear, so I'm holding it back to a certain extent. But it won't erode your spirit. By the way, in my lady's case, all the costumes she wears have been replaced with my thread-made ones, so she will not be subject to the interference of the goddess. Kamishiro. Who are you? I wondered if Miss Fua had some kind of exploration-type skills, and her face changed color when she saw the friendship bracelet I gave her. Please don't worry. It is gentle on your skin, taken from a naturally poisonous spider. However, if you ask me what I am proud to say that I am a common lavish spider maid that follows everywhere my lady is. I'm just an ordinary maid who works only for my lady. That's not true. Before I could say anything, not only Miss Hua but also Miss Ginkgo gave me a TSK from them. For the time being, I've finished putting up the cobwebs to catch the goddess. Next up is Joel's sister, the first Princess Emily, who the goddess was worried about. I'll have to check that out. Chapter 50, Princess. Okay, Letty, try to stay calm. Very well. My lady is as lovely as ever, isn't she? I'd like to dress her up in a cute, erotic costume, but I can't do that right now, so I'll have to bite down so hard that my back teeth will shatter. Letty, where does it hurt? I beg your pardon. My lady is so lovely, it looks like I am bleeding. How did that happen? It is good to see that my lady is relieved of her nerves. As for what my lady and I are doing, we have received a call from the first princess, Miss Emily. Even though the graduation party is less than 2 months away, the second prince, Mr. Joel, has yet to announce his partner to escort him. There are 5 potential fiancés including my lady, but 2 of them are older women who graduated from the academy, and since noblewomen should marry before the age of 20, they have refused to do so because they think it's too late. Miss Emily said that she was worried that her brother Joel might not understand how women feel, so she asked him to invite each of the prospective fiancés at the school to listen to their feelings. I've been gathering a lot of information about Miss Emily, but I was surprised that she came to contact us earlier. Miss Sharon, you are welcome. Miss Emily's attendant, a palace maid in her late 20s, invites my lady at the door with a bland smile. Miss Emily is 13 years old. Although she is a third-year student at the academy, she is not in the same girls' dormitory as my lady, but in a special wing used by the sons and daughters of royalty and dukes. I have brought sweets. Please bring them in. Very well. Thank you. The maidservants and I communicate with each other and I give them the sweets we brought. If the maidservants don't test for poison, they won't be served to the princess. Well, it would be easy to make a poison that would start after half a month, but I didn't use any. Instead, I stealthily handed another package to the maid, and she also stealthily held out a piece of paper that looked like a note to me. All right. Yes, miss. And as if nothing had happened, the maidservant and I discussed the role of the tea party. What I gave them was an anti-aging candy. As a process of searching for information, I cajoled the maidservants with drugs and sweetness and asked them to give me information about Miss Emily. I'm not going to give you any information that will be a danger for the royal family, but... Ho 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 ho. According to the memo, the 2 older potential fiancés have withdrawn because of pressure from Miss Emily. This broke on. The remaining 3 candidates, excluding my lady, have already been pressured by Miss Emily, and I was warned to be careful this time as the pressure might come on my lady. Well, it's because I let the information out for Miss Emily to make a move. Oh, it's been a long time, Miss Emily. It's been a while. You don't have to be so nervous, Sharon. We used to play together when we were little, didn't we? The tea party had begun. My lady, who is a senior aristocrat close in age to Miss Emily, seems to have been Miss Emily's playmate. With lustrous golden hair and clear blue eyes, Miss Emily looks like a princess in a picture book, just like Mr. Joel. This is delicious. Yes, Letty made the pastries. Wow. You're Ferretti. I'm Lady Sharon's maid, Ferretti. Miss Emily puts the cutlery on the plate and gazes at me as she greets me with a "I've heard rumors." You certainly seem to have a good enough look for my brothers to be interested in. That's very kind of you, miss. After a short time of drinking tea and carrying on a conversation that was uneventful and unimportant, Miss Emily got down to business. Sharon, I've heard about you from your teachers and others. That your grades aren't very good, that you have a strong manner, and that you are avoided by the underclassmen. My lady opens her mouth with a pop at Miss Emily's words. As expected, if you interrupt her sweets she'll be angry. Her grades are poor because she is not good at arithmetic. After all, she is too rich and deficient. I tried, but there is nothing I can do about it because it is the law of the land. But I never thought it would be that cute to see my lady with tears in her eyes when she is trying to study. The reason why my lady is being avoided is that her words are too stuck up, but lately, more and more underclassmen are staring at her with longing eyes. You are not fit to be my brother Joel's first wife. But that would be unfair to your family, so I would like to recommend you as Brother Yuri's third wife. You and your maid go to Brother Yuri's place. I'm with His Highness Yuri. Speaking of which, His Royal Highness Mr. Yuri, the Crown Prince, once said that he wanted my lady and me or something like that. But even though Miss Emily loved her brother, it was limited to Mr. Joel. Whether it's Mr. Joel or Mr. Yuri, from my point of view, it doesn't seem to make much difference, but for my lady, Mr. Yuri's ability-based and cold-hearted side must be hard to bear. The palace maids and attendants also look at my lady with pity. When my lady's eyes are blackened by the suddenness of the situation, Miss Emily, who had said it coldly, smiles unpleasantly. But there are still things I want Sharon to do. Do you know about the flies that have been flying around Brother Joel lately? I believe it's ginkgo or something. What? Ginkgo what? You feel the same way about ginkgo, don't you? It's because a bug that just popped up is about to take my brother. If you want to cooperate with me, well, I'd be happy to admit that you're a member of my brother Joel's side of the family. For my lady, who is Miss Ginkgo's friend, there is no way she would be complicit in a scheme that would not be good for Miss Ginkgo, even if she didn't hear all about it. However, as a nobleman, You can't go against the royal family, whether you take pride in being a nobleman or friendship. The moment my lady is about to open her mouth with anger on her face, I tap my lady on the shoulder to stop her words. Very well, Lady Emily. After discussing it with my lady, I will be happy to help you. Letty. Oh, you do that? Yes, that sounds better than Sharon. Good. You will cooperate with me wholeheartedly. Yes, Lady Emily. I smiled with a radiant face and grinned at Miss Emily with a satisfied grin. I then said, later, after discussing with my lady to see how much we could cooperate, and my lady and I left Miss Emily's room. We walked out of the special wing and walked down the corridor for a while, and when the street was empty, my lady turned around with an angry look on her face. Letty, what are you doing? You, Ginkgo. No problem. No problem. What? It's difficult for my lady to disobey Lady Emily's orders, isn't it? I'll talk to Miss Ginkgo on my end, so you don't need to worry. Just worry about only your own happiness. Letty, it's just as planned, prick face. The bad rumors about my lady, Miss Ginkgo, and the lie that she and my lady are not on good terms with each other are all information that I deliberately passed on to the handmaidens. According to the oracle Miss Ginkgo received from the goddess, my lady, and Miss Emily will be involved as the villainous daughters, so I am sorry to Miss Emily, but she will have to work properly as a villain. According to the oracle, this is the biggest event, so isn't this a great stage to lure a goddess out? Chapter 51, Planning. The graduation party is only a month away. It's not just a matter of time before you'll be able to get a new one. A dull tension that begins to faintly drift. A few steps back to Ginkgo, who was even more frightened. Sharon's mouth twisted up as if she wanted to say something, and just as her lips were about to release her voice, the black-haired maid behind her stopped Sharon with a smile and quietly stepped forward and opened her mouth. Oh dear, what a poorly educated young lady to block someone's way, isn't she? Oh, number. How are you going to pay for all this trouble, miss? What do you want me to do? Well, let's make it quick and let you pay physically, shall we? No. She didn't do that to me. I won't let you say number. Foo-foo. You can count the stains on the ceiling and it will be over. If you're quiet, you won't have to go through more pain. Oh, what are you doing here? You say you don't like it, but this one seems to be honest, and you see, she's very happy about it. Disgusting and embarrassing. Don't scream too loud, or someone will come to you. Or do you want to be seen? Oh, number. What are you two doing? Sharon, who suddenly turned red in the face, slapped them both on the head with her slippers while screaming in dismay. How could either of you do that? My lady, who was red with tears in her eyes as she remembered the scene she had just witnessed, hid her face as she covered it with her hands, her voice wavering. Miss Sharon, you're so cute. Miss Fua blurts out at the my lady's appearance. Miss Fua, would you like another berry tart? Yeah, I'll have some. As expected of Miss Fua, she knows what she's doing. My lady is truly adorable, so if Miss Fua can understand, I will give her a quarter of a whole tart as a special treat. We are currently having a review meeting with Miss Ginkgo and Miss Fua in my lady's room. However, everyone is eating well. The first dish tea chiffon cake was quickly stored in the bellies of the three of them, and the second dish of mixed berry tart is nowhere near as good as it was. As I bring the third plate of Gateau chocolate classics from the kitchen to the hall, Miss Ginkgo, who has been single-mindedly carrying the cutlery to her mouth, finally opens her mouth. I have to admit, that thing was embarrassing for me too, though. I'm sorry. I only can do old man sexual harassment when it comes to harassment. You're an old man? My lady has spoken to me, but I do not know what kind of harassment a normal young lady would engage in. Miss Emily sent me to harass Miss Ginkgo, and I have engaged in this type of sexual harassment in various parts of the academy. I am taking the brunt of it to prevent my lady from getting a bad reputation, but I am doing it at. Letty, does this satisfy Lady Emily? Have any of the other girls said anything to you? Of course. My lady, I received a letter the other day from a certain countess in the 4th year, confidentially, asking me to torment Sister Sharon in bed. How did that happen? For some reason, we started receiving letters from the underclassmen for my lady and me who witnessed it, which seemed to be love letters. It's strange, isn't it? I received a letter from a male student asking me to step on him, but it seems that many noble families have special tastes. Well, No need to worry about it. What we're doing here has been communicated to us in a good way through Miss Emily's lady-in-waiting. You didn't say anything first. My lady threw a slipper at me again. Would you like some more cake? Yes. Regardless, this is the extent of my response to Miss Emily. As I hand out the fourth plate of strawberry and cheese mousse, I glanced at Miss Fua. How is your side? Going well. I'm getting an altar to the goddess at our graduation party. What about you? We're good to go, too, miss. I have asked Miss Fua to infiltrate the graduation party preparation committee and ask them to place an altar of the goddess at the venue. Since Miss Fua is a good qualified girl, I am sure it was easy to convince the boys. I also asked Miss Trilas to create an atmosphere for the goddess to come to the hall. I also asked Andy's partner, Jade, the lewd little dragon, to help raise the magic power and captured the goddess from outside the hall. At the same time, the demons under my command are the procedures for breaking the wards in the demon forest. Most of the preparations here are finished, but the problem is... So, Miss Ginkgo, how are you and Mr. Joel getting along? Phew. Miss Ginkgo's face turned red and she made a strange noise. The crux of this plan is to cause the event that the goddess wants to happen. For that to happen, there's nothing we can do if Miss Ginkgo and Mr. Joel don't make progress in their relationship. Geez, Mr. Joel is so sweet. Thank you for that. So how's it going? Yeah, what's going on? My lady next to me is also in ear Dumbo. When Miss Fu and I catch up with the embarrassed Miss Ginkgo, she begins to blah. Chapter 52, Engagement. Today is the tea party with Mr. Joel, the second prince of the kingdom of El Grey, whom my lady has allowed being a candidate as his fiancé. When I saw him for the first time, I thought he was like a prince in a picture book. Your Highness Joel, we are delighted to have you here today. Sharon, I'm sorry to call you out on such short notice. Oh, I see. The one my lady just greeted was Mr. Joel, wasn't it? Of course, I remembered. I won't be so rude as to forget. But, by the way, my lady has really grown up to be a fine young lady. She was a shy young lady who stammered whenever she was called out to, but she can still greet His Highness the Prince with aplomb, even if she is not very stable. Letty, you're thinking of something strange again. I have been chewing on my lady's progress, but I'm a little nervous, so I'm glad you're so adorable with your fingers on my sleeve. Letty, shh. While we are secretly exchanging such exchanges, the butler, who has arranged the seats, ushers my lady in. Today, since we are going to have an important talk, there were no maidservants or guard knights who are usually lined up in a row of 10 or more. Only a tight-lipped butler and 2 elderly maidservants, and the only escort was Mr. Andy. Would you like to join us, Miss Furity? I'm normally standing diagonally behind my lady, and Mr. Joel, I assume, calls to me. Letty. My lady turns slightly and calls out my name in a small way. My lady would be more at ease if I took my seat. And as expected, I don't mind being at the same table as the prince of a country at all, but I am unable to take care of my lady to the fullest extent, so I will not be able to sit. I am sorry. Today, I will remain at my lady's side until further notice. Well, I was wondering if this was the last time I could have tea with you. Mr. Joel seemed somewhat disappointed, but he withdrew surprisingly easily. I seem to remember Miss Emily saying that he used to be interested in me or something like that. That said, I'm concerned about the maid's shiny face. I'm sorry. The 2 old maids of honor look at each other and bow. There. Item that Sharon's handmaiden brought to us has been inspected and found to be. What did you bring to the table? Mr. Joel looks at me with a slightly zit-eyed look. I don't like it. All the strange things are not because of me, you know. At my lady's tea party, we bring sweet treats, but today, Your Highness Joel, I assume, invited me, and I thought that Mr. Andy would be with us, so I made something to fill your stomach. Oh, yeah? Mr. Joel, who was growing up, looked a little happier, and my lady looked astonished when she realized that she didn't have anything sweet to eat. I'm looking forward to that. Andy, you can join us, too. Haha. Andy, who was behind Mr. Joel, replied with a bit of confusion. Or was he staring at my lady and his reaction was delayed? Here's a snack for you. Oh. What's this? It's a meat burger that is popular with boys. You may think that a normal burger is made of meat, but this is a burger made of ground pork and the minotaur meat, kneaded with salt and pepper, wrapped in thinly sliced cheese and paradise bird meat to keep the juices flowing, and then fried with 100% lard. It's a masterpiece made with 2-3 cm slices of top marbled devil's iron minotaur steak sandwiched between 2 steaks, with the juices of the meat melted in a sauce of wine and butter. To briefly explain, everyone was staring at the meat burgers in silence. Of course, I have to tell you that it's monster meat. For you to enjoy it hot, I'm distorting space-time with all my might. You can see how effective it is by looking at the condition of the maids of honor who took a few bites of the meat. It's strange to see. It seems to be a little unresponsive. Haha, I'm sorry, my lady. Did you run out of calories? I don't really like calories, you know. Well, I asked Sharon to come over because I had something to tell you. Yes. After enjoying tea and snacks for a while, we finally got to the main topic of today's meeting. Everyone's faces were shiny and healthy. My lady and I don't eat fattening food like that. Come to think of it, Sharon has been my potential fiancé for a long time since I was a little boy, but I have decided that the one to escort me to my graduation party is Miss Ginkgo. Is the right thing to do. It is a bit far-fetched, but it is a de facto dissolution of the engagement. Generally, it is a disgrace for a woman to have her engagement dissolved, but in Joel's case, it is not so bad since there were 5 candidates for the engagement. If my lady and Mr. Joel were not on good terms, the engagement could have been broken off on the day. In this case, if there is a problem, it's that my lady would be the one who would be talked about by the ladies since it looks like she was thrown away. Of course, you understand that much, don't you, Mr. Joel? But of course, I'll make sure Sharon gets a proper apology and compensation, and I'll give her proper notice. Mr. Joel, who seemed to have felt my gaze, finally convinced, added the words as if in a hurry, and continued to say, but, as if he was having difficulty saying it. My sister Emily is a pain in the ass when it comes to me. If possible, I'd like to proceed in confidence until the day. Mr. Joel's gaze passes over my lady and me as if he were looking for air. That's fine with me, Your Highness Joel. When my lady, who had been silent until then, said that with a smile, Mr. Joel let out a breath as if he was relieved. It is likely to draw curious eyes to my lady on that day, but because of the original plan, I have coordinated with my lady and Miss Ginkgo in this way. Now, it's my turn, isn't it? So, how will you escort my lady to the event? With a proper escorting partner, my lady is less likely to be exposed to curious eyes. At my words, Mr. Joel glances behind him and begins to speak as if choosing his words. On that note, there's been a strange rumor about Sharon lately. That Sharon has been doing things to Ginkgo that are hard to say in public. Oh, is it about my sexual harassment? Emily also told me that Sharon is doing terrible things to Ginkgo. And in fact, it's not as if the rumors are true, but Emily says that Sharon who does that is fine with Brother Yuri or my side room, but Sharon has no desire to do that, isn't it? Yes, I'm sorry. No, that's fine then. The rumors are too weird to be credible. Miss Emily is being tricked well. However, nothing has been resolved concerning my lady. However, I can't leave my lady in charge of a partner, unless he or she has a clear vision of the future. Not just a partner for that moment. So, what do you do? My question again stops Mr. Joel from saying anything with his gaze and intimidation. I don't mean it seriously, but my intimidation, which leaked out in a whisper, made them all pale. Sharon, would you mind allowing me to escort you? It was Mr. Andy who released such a voice. My lady, who had fallen on her face as if frightened by something, looked up vigorously at those words. Is that all? In a small voice, but in the stillness of the place, my words would certainly have reached Mr. Andy. Mr. Andy's expression tightened and he stepped forward forcefully, kneeling in front of Miss Sharon and looking up at her. Sharon. Will you walk with me for the rest of your life? I swear to you that I will protect Sharon with my life. At this confession, my lady rolled her eyes, held her flabby chest, and let out a slight shudder. I don't want to risk my life. I want to stay with Mr. Andy forever. Sharon. Outstretched hands from either side overlap each other. That was really good, my lady. I was about to take a nice shot if Mr. Andy dipped in at the end. The sight of the two of them brought a smile to everyone's face, including Joel's. Joel stood up, happy as if it were his own, to make his declaration. Andy and Sharon. Their engagement was witnessed by me, Joel, royalty of Al Grey. Chapter 53, Graduation 1. I am glad to announce that my lady and Mr. Andy are provisional engaged. The reason why I say provisional is because we need to keep His Highness's order to keep the engagement a secret until the graduation party in order to prevent Princess Emily from interfering with the marriage. Nobleman can't marry without His Majesty's permission. It's troublesome. Mr. Joel's statement that he see it all through means that he sees it through as a member of the royal family, and although it's not official, he'll take responsibility for any people who complain about it. More than that, it must have been an honest congratulations from Mr. Joel, who knows how the two of them feel. I thought he was just a prince with a shadowy, unreadable appearance, but I'll revise my assessment upward a bit. Foo-foo. The tea party with Mr. Joel is over and my lady returns to the room, but her behavior is a little strange. I thought she was thinking seriously about something, but all of a sudden, her cheeks turned cherry red and she let out a chuckle. Could it be that your brain is pink? Well, this is a provisional engagement with Mr. Andy, whom she has adored since she was a child. This able maid understands that it's so inevitable that even if I unintentionally bounced her melons, she wouldn't notice it. Letty, that's a bit. After 5 minutes of tapping, I was found by Miss Ginkgo and Miss Fua, who had sneaked over to play with me. I shouldn't do this. They seemed to be totally absorbed in what they were doing with me and didn't notice the knock at the door. As a maid, I can't blame them for getting a bitter complaint. That's not what we meant, you know. As you may have noticed, the two of them call me Letty. How did they start to call me that? I'll tell you how it came to be. Sharon also calls me by my first name, but only Kamishiro-san used the last name. What? You don't remember? That's how the two of them have decided to call me Letty. That's very helpful, to be honest. For some reason, I don't know why you call me Kamishiro, but I understand that's the name of my past self, but I don't think it's me. I would venture to say that this body is for the new me to enter the old me. Yes, Ginkgo, you've become Mr. Joel's partner. I'm not talking about an escort partner, but rather a partner, like me and my lady. Well, it's difficult to get a married woman to be the partner of another person, right? Currently, the probability of Miss Ginkgo, who is a good friend of Mr. Joel, becoming a partner of a jealous noblewoman is low. If there's a possibility, it's Miss Clarice, a saint, but she and the currently hospitalized Miss Ina will be partners with each other as they are both saints. It is an exception to the rule to have more than one partner like His Highness Joel. I also became His Highness Joel's partner. That's it. Miss Fua seems unhappy that her bomb announcement was a dud. I cut up the blueberry rare cheesecake I brought from the kitchen and began to speak as I put it on the plate. Two beautiful girls in a harem is a favorite of His Highness Joel, isn't it? What do you mean by that? As expected of my lady, you came to your senses as soon as you finished the cake. For now, let's revise Mr. Joel's assessment downward. The congratulations on your engagement, Miss Sharon. Girls' party finished when my lady noticed that the honey donuts, caramel waffles, and dried fruit cake that she had have disappeared. I'll have to go to the merchant's store again to buy the white sugar and unsalted butter. Time has passed, and now the day of the graduation party is finally upon us. My lady, you look great, you look beautiful. Oh, thanks, Letty. My lady is really cute, blushing and embarrassed by the compliment. I got serious about this dress. My carefully selected spider silk, concocted with magic, will protect my lady from a direct hit from a missile launcher, while the texture and luster exceed silk by several levels. Even then, does Letty really don't need to be in a dress? Of course. My lady's face is clouded by my unchanged maid outfit. But I'm not worried about it. This time the maid's uniform is different. The skirt is lined with silk lace and embroidered with an ascending dragon and a fierce tiger. All right, just pull your skirt back down. I was about to roll up my skirt and describe my buttocks when I received a slippery tweak from my lady who had turned bright red. There is still time, but I can't take it easy. The higher-ups are admitted later for the graduation party, so my lady, the daughter of the marks, will be in front of Clarice and Mr. Joel, who will be escorted by His Royal Highness the Dauphin. Then let's go. My lady. Miss Clarice, is this a good time? Yes, of course. Thank you. The Royal Palace maidservants prepare my surroundings in a flowing manner. As expected of the Royal Palace maidservants, they are different from the maidservants of my parents' family, the Viscount's family. When I only glanced at them, The young maidservant I had brought with me from my parents' house was shivering in a small corner of the wall so as not to disturb them. Well, it couldn't be helped. That girl was originally from a small merchant family. Just going up to the royal palace made her so nervous that she felt like she was going to die. Should I return her to her parents' home soon? Right now, I'm at the royal palace. Normally, students are supposed to leave from the dormitory of the academy, and so is Mr. Joel, the second prince. But I'm leaving from the castle at the behest of His Royal Highness Yuri, the crown prince, who is escorting me. We're the last to enter, so I don't mind if we're late. But thank goodness, the dresses and decorations were prepared by Mr. Yuri, but 10 maidservants couldn't move in such a small dormitory. Finally, today is the day my dream comes true. It's all over. No, it's just beginning. I've worked hard even though I was reborn in this inconvenient world for this day. Today is the end of the events that the goddess prepared for us. When we attacked the Duchess, she has already become the old nobleman's second wife without waiting for the event. But there's no problem even without the last event here. Instead, a girl named Ginkgo, who was forcibly chosen as the heroine, and Princess Emily and Sharon will cause the last event. I don't feel sorry for Emily, but I feel sorry for Sharon. It's a pity because we got to know each other a little better. I don't think that Fruity will stand still, but it will be interesting to see what happens. I've always tried not to be hostile to those two, so I don't think any harm will come to me. Clarice, His Highness Yuri is here. Yeah, come on in. There you are, Clarice. Before I could permit him to enter, Yuri opened the door and walked in, a really pushy person. It's too bad you have a face that's to my liking. Oh well, fine. Your Highness Yuri, nice to meet you today. It looks good on you. Then you won't have any problems being with me. Let's go, Clarice. Well, okay. Use that strength and forcefulness for me, because at the end of the day, I will be the brightest star. Chapter 54, Graduation 2. In the year 894 of the kingdom's history, the graduation party for the Academy of Magic began. A total of 88 students, not only the special class of nobles but all the students graduating in the same year, a total of 88 people, participated in the party. It may seem like a small number when you hear it, but even though the human species in this world has magical power, there aren't many who can use it on a practical level. That's why those who have strong magical powers are valued, and the descendants of those who became nobles for using their power at the founding of the country can handle magic well. Because of such a tendency, it was probably inevitable that the lady of the Michel family, who was a marquis but was unable to handle magic due to difficulties in controlling her magic power, was despised. Even if there were 88 graduates, if you include escort partners, family members, and people involved in the academy, the number of participants slightly exceeds 300. Besides, because a band is also necessary, the large auditorium that can accommodate more than 1,000 people in the academy was used for the event. Although there is no formal difference in status within the academy, there is a clear difference between the ordinary citizens who have already entered the academy and the aristocrats who come in later. At first glance, the food and drinks are the same, but on the aristocratic side, the ingredients and cooks are carefully selected, and when the general students and their relations try to head that way, they are gently blocked by the knights. A nobleman with such a strong power is respected. Hence, a nobleman who cannot handle power will be despised by the commoners as well. This year's graduation party had a slightly different atmosphere from the previous years. The aristocratic students enter through the entrance on the aristocratic side. The first to enter are the middle nobles, such as barons and viscounts, while the lower nobles, such as associate barons and knights, are treated the same as ordinary students. However, what the general students and noble officials were paying attention to was not the noble students, but the intelligent creatures they summoned from another world, their partners. I heard that this year's summoned partners were the human race. Not since the days of our saint hundreds of years ago. Is the human race summoned by the goddess to avert a great calamity, or is something going to happen? It's horrible. Haha, there have been some major incidents, but they're over. Even in the past, the country prospers greatly after a major incident. So I'm looking forward to the future. This must be a goddess gift to us, too. Look, those people have black hair and black eyes. Eyes are drawn to the boys and girls with black hair and black eyes who enter from the noble side. Even though they are of the same human race as themselves, they are from another world. However, as more and more partners entered, the expressions of the aristocrats became distorted as they wondered. What do you mean? Why is my nephew escorting his maidservants? So is my granddaughter. You mean she didn't get a partner? About half of the noble students had not gotten a partner. Almost all of the boys who were potential partners has become noblemen's partners, but more than half of the girls with tired expressions had entered with the escort of a butler. Amidst the buzzing aristocratic officials wondering what's going on, one woman muttered as if she was spitting. My sister told me she heard that Miss Sharon of the Michel family had decided on a partner prematurely to His Highness Joel. I've heard that too. Kidnapping the most beautiful girl, turning her potential partner into a maid and treating her like a slave. Well, what a terrible thing to do. I'm told she is a low-born inferior who can't even use magic. Perhaps they heard the voices of these nobles, and some of the ordinary students showed glimpses of anger. Sharon was previously feared and spurned due to her silent and stern impression. But from the resolute attitude she showed towards the crisis in the academy, they realized that she was only trying to fulfill her duties as a nobleman, and she was also being re-evaluated for her magic skills. To begin with, the bizarre interactions between Sharon and her partner, the maid, had been witnessed by many in the academy, and her popularity had gradually increased due to her cute appearance. In hindsight, it was enough to make them bury their heads in the sand, wondering why they had been so estranged from her. But even if they thought so, they were not allowed to argue with the nobleman as ordinary students. At that moment, the hall buzzed for a moment. It was because Sharon, the Marquis Michel's daughter, who had just been talked about, had entered. But even more than that, her beauty attracted the attention. Was she this beautiful? She was dressed in a fine dress of a sheen I had never seen before, reminiscent of her birth mother, who was called the White Rose. It was also a shock to everyone around her that Sharon, a prospective fiancé of the second prince, His Royal Highness Joel, was being escorted by an heir of the Marquis de Mercia. The Marquis of Mercia, Andy, still single and good-looking, was very popular with the ladies, as he was the captain of His Highness Joel's bodyguard. This shock was overridden by the next appearance of His Royal Highness Joel, who was escorting the dark-haired young lady, who no one had seen before. To be escorted by royalty at this graduation party is to be seen as a fiancé as it is. Where is this young lady from? Even though the appearance of this Countess Clarice, who was escorted by His Royal Highness the Dauphin, who entered afterward, the talk about Sharon and Joel did not disappear, and Clarice scowled slightly. What's going on? Princess Emily, who was watching the scene from the noble official's seat, was stunned. According to that dark-haired maid's report, things were going well, and Emily's maid of honor was also checking on Sharon, who was harassing Ginkgo. In the report, Ginkgo was told that she was on the verge of declining to become Joel's fiancé because of Sharon's harassment, but as of now, Ginkgo is happily gazing at Joel, and Sharon, who should be angry at being taken by her fiancé, is in a sweet mood with Andy. Had that dark-haired maid betrayed her? She tried to look for her, but she couldn't find her in the hall. It can't go on like this. If it goes on like this, her beloved brother Joel will be taken away by an unknown woman from another world. Joel should marry a woman he doesn't love like Sharon for a mere formality and only love Emily for the rest of his life. Emily thought that he was willing to have a forbidden relationship between brother and sister for that purpose. Hurry. Quickly, we have to do something about it. She must take action before the people here recover from the confusion. That impatient feeling reached God. I heard a voice that seemed to echo behind my ears. Stand up, Emily. You must immediately denounce Ginkgo. Ginkgo is acting unworthy of a royal fiancé and is acting incompatibly with the common sense of the nobility. If you denounce Ginkgo now, Sharon will be on your side to testify. Emily thought that voice was there. Goddess. Recalling that those who became queens and saints in the past also listened to the oracle to guide this country, Emily grinned and sneered as she stood up from her seat. She didn't even notice that a small spider in a maid's outfit had left from her ears as she walked briskly. Ginkgo-san, your behavior is remarkable. You are not worthy of being brother Joel's partner. Emily? Suddenly, when Emily began to denounce Ginkgo, Joel shouted in surprise. "This woman doesn't deserve my brother. I will not allow my brother to make her a member of the royal family." "What are you talking about? Ginkgo's not that kind of girl." "Brother is deluded." "We have a witness." "Witness?" Joel frowns quizzically. Ginkgo, who is frozen in surprise. Amidst a sudden buzz from those present, Emily turned to the silver-haired girl as if he was good at it. "Come on, Sharon, testify." Receiving those words from Emil and the gazes of all those present, Sharon pulls and shakes her head with a face like she is about to cry, as if she is in a hurry. "Ginkgo is a good friend. I won't do that." Emily's mind goes blank at Sharon's words. "Why? I was just following the oracle, so how did this happen?" Emily, "Brother Joel, no, it wasn't me. But an oracle from the goddess." Oracle? No matter how you look at it, it sounded like Princess Emily's imagination, but the attendees' gazes were naturally drawn to the altar of the goddess in the hall. Why would there be an altar that wasn't there in previous years, only this year? Next to the altar was Elias, the only holy knight in the country. As if he had done something. The altar was unusually full of the goddess's divine spirit shining out of the altar, attracting people's attention. No matter how you look at it, it was a painful falsehood of Princess Emily. Nevertheless, it is not normal for a still young princess who is loved by the people to disgrace her brother's chosen partner, and the fact that the divine chi overflows from the altar that gave the word oracle impossible credibility. No way, it's really the goddess. Such thoughts passed through the minds of those present, and the altar's holy seal clattered as if it were shaking, as if the thought had shaken their faith for a moment. Now is the time. Suddenly, Elias raised his voice and thrust his sword at the holy mark. When people were astonished that the holy knight Elias, who was said to be the most beloved of the goddesses, would do such a thing, and people were astonished that the sword was pointed at the altar, a glowing object flew out of the altar in surprise. Towards the light, a black shadow that had been sticking up from the ceiling swooped down and entangled the glowing object with a shining thread-like object. If you looked closely, you would have noticed that the invisible thin thread covered the entire hall like a spider's web. A dark-haired maid girl who came down from the ceiling to the light, struggling while trapped in the multiple layers of spider webs, smiles as she sings. Maid. Chapter 55, Graduation 3. Yoo-hoo! Here is everyone's favorite goddess. Even though I'm saying this, the magic power of these lowly aristocrats and rubbish commoners here is so low that even my lovely voice can't reach them. You poor little fool. But I feel a little bit better today, so I forgive you. I'm so unbelievably nice. I'm in a good mood. Want to know why I'm in a good mood? Today is the biggest and last event of the day. The graduation party. The real final event should be the wedding event, but I wouldn't accept a still picture with a sloppy narration as the final event. The graduation party is the final event. The long wait was worth it. I've been wanting to sleep, but I've been doing my best to stay awake because I've been dozing off for 10 years now. I'll reward myself today by possessing a suitable priestess and eating a sakitorti. Her soul is destroyed when I possess her, but wouldn't it be an honor to have me descend into her body? The other heroines failed even though I gave them blessings, and the main heroine, the Viscountess, ignored my oracle and tried to get engaged to the first prince, Yuri, and become the queen without any events. As for Yuri, since I gave him their royal dignity, he is in a hurry. He's a bit annoying, so I turn your skills off. Okay? Since I failed, I thought about causing a flood and resetting it, but I'm glad that the new heroine I made works out. That Ginkgo hadn't played the game before, so I was very nervous when she didn't move well even when I told her to. I'm a real genius. Even such a bad heroine can make it to the ending. I was annoyed that I couldn't get my mind to interfere properly with her, but now I can say no to the creepy marks. Damn. Why is it so hard to see the venue? It's like a big spider's web. I'm a goddess. I'm the greatest in the world. I deserve a front row seat to this event. Oh, there's the altar to the goddess. Huh? Elias. It's been hard to see him lately, but he made a special seat for me, isn't he? That's my Elias. They even put out drinks and snacks for me. You can drink what is offered at the altar. Giggle. Police. Isn't this holy marker a bit hard to sit on? But I've got a tiny little ass to sit on. Goddesses are perfect. Oh, these are delicious. Where do you think I could find these? Oh, the Marquis's daughter? What? Why is Andy escorting her around? She was supposed to come in alone as a villainous daughter after Joel dumped her. Oh, right. He is filling in for Joel because he's so sweet. She is about to be condemned, So that's one last good memory. Ginkgo's here. Oh ooh. Nice, nice. You've got a great picture. She was a pinch-hitting heroine, but she's in a good mood. That's what we wanted to see. That's what I wanted to see. Now, all we have to do is condemn the Marquis's daughter, and it is perfect. Next, the main heroine and Yuri came in, but Ginkgo and Jill are shining so brightly that they're a bit hazy. Well, that's because I've taken their dignity of the king from Yuri. PFFT. Huh? Why hasn't an absolution event happened? Get on with it, Ginkgo. I don't care if you're the main heroine. You can't hear me. Oh, wait. Why is Emil coming out? Well, she's a villainous daughter too, so I don't mind if she... Huh? Why not? Why is it my fault? I didn't create that oracle. Why are you all looking at me like I'm nuts? Disgusting. Oh, what a shake of faith. Oh, my god, Elias hit me with a sword. How did that happen? Are you my darling? I'm going to jump off the altar. Huh? What? What is this? A spider's web. Why do we have this? What's wrong with it? You can't tug on it but it's not strong enough. Who? A dark-haired maid I'd never seen before wrapped a string around me with a good smile in front of me. Lie. Why? There's no one like her in my world. I'm so pissed off that I struggle to get the thread off with force. But the thread feels awful, and I can't get it off easily. Stop it. I'm a goddess. Uh-oh. I don't want this world. We need to reset it. Stop kidding me for a second. Someone broke their warding of the world. The demon forest? I hurriedly turned the channel in that direction. When I turned the channel like a knob in my head, I can see the image of the devil's forest. In the devil's forest, demons were destroying the wards and spinning around. The leader was an 8-legged horse. Where's the patron saint beast? Oh, it disappeared the other day. Stop it for a second. Don't break any more wards. What? A dragon? Why are there so many dragons in here? Stop. Don't break any more boundaries. If you break any more, I'll lose control of my power. How is everyone doing? Have you been sleeping with your stomachs out? My lady's pom-poms are smooth and pudgy. It's time to take action. It's time to take action. It seems that Na and the slutty little dragon, Jade, have been doing well. She cut the strings, even though I had laid a perfect trap. As expected of a goddess or other, the power she stole from the old god. However, with the warding broken, the goddess's boxed world has become unstable, and it seems that the goddess can no longer control the power she stole. The goddess-like divine light fades from the mass of light restrained by my spider silk, and a beautiful blonde-haired girl is revealed. The goddess. She's the one? Chapter 56, Graduation 4. There is a considerable difference between the goddess and me if only pure power is used. If you assume that my magic power is 100, the goddess's magic power is over 200. Considering that she hasn't mastered the power, their old god, who was deprived of the core of his power, would normally have hit close to 300. Even if she didn't master his power, there was simply no chance for me to win if I challenged her head-on with a difference of more than twice as much. However, I am proud to say that my fighting skills, trained by my head maid, are higher than those of the average maid. The head maid said that it is a lady's habit, but I have noticed that most of my colleagues hired at the same time have degenerated to a very young age, and I still have nightmares about it. If my combat skills are set at 100, the former's goddess skills are probably less than 10. It seems that she spent her time in idleness without any training, so in a sense it is natural, but the simple difference in strength is not enough to overturn it, and I was only able to dazzle the goddess. But as of now, the former's goddess's strength has been greatly reduced and is down to about 130. If I can get to this point, the difference in strength between the former's goddess and me is almost equal. I'm still afraid of the blow, but I can see a chance to win. The only thing where I can't see a chance of winning no matter how is versus my lady. For example, assuming that my chest combat power is 80, Miss Sharon's chest combat power is easily over 90. Her combat power was such that even the head maidservant was amazed at it. Chest combat strength is not just a numerical measure. Shape and color are also important. People have their own tastes and preferences when it comes to shape, but the shape of my lady is of interest to many lords, and it is a shape that is very much to my liking. I have been refining my lady with my own special oils, creams, and lotions to enhance her fighting power, but I have been unable to use half of the underwear that I make to enhance her beauty. It seems that my lady is not fond of naughty underwear. The other day she became engaged to Mr. Andy, and when I saw my lady, who is very cute and rolls around with a bright red face, I showed her the new underwear that she can wear on her date, and my lady gave me a blow with her slippers. As for the underwear for the first night of the marriage, I have prepared new underwear that is a little bit tighter, taking into account the my lady's preference. Which do you think will suit my lady better, this pale peach color or this pale purple one? As for me, this is the purple one here. Are you fucking kidding me? As I was explaining on the roof of the church chapel with the new underwear in both hands, the former goddess, who held her crotch with both hands, interrupted my words as if shouting from the air. It was quite an all-out, or killer X, blow, but she looks fine. On the contrary, one of the spikes has been bent, so it looks like it will be difficult to take care of it afterward. I'm not fooling around. I was just talking about my lady's underwear on her first night as a newlywed. She is a newlywed? Such naughty. It's natural for a woman to wear it nowadays. Oh, excuse me, you don't seem to be able to wear it, do you? What are you talking about? I'm a perfectly proportioned goddess and I'll wear anything and everything better than anyone else. With that, she poses confidently in the air, an estimated 70 kilograms, twin-tailed, 30-something woman. Could it be that she considers herself to still be the same blonde beauty she was before? Then one of the gigantic dragons attacked her. Well done, Pretty. That's good to know. I return my voice to Jade, who passes by me and chases after the former goddess. The dragons seemed to be watching the exchange between me and the former goddess with a pout, but that was just looking for an opening for the former goddess. I had mistakenly thought that they were seriously stunned. Then I will join the dragons in chasing after the former goddess. Kai-e. Oh, come on, you guys. Do you think it's okay for a disgusting caterpillar to touch me, a goddess? It was supposed to be a spiritual life form, but it wasn't even 50 meters away from the body of a dragon that seemed to be 30 meters long. Could it be heavy? Even now, the former goddess is still being attacked by as many as 30 dragons, but she is cheerfully reciprocating with a taut hand on par with the small knot. Her rating might be raised next year. Nice shot. What? The former goddess spins around with a strange voice when I launch her up with the spiked club from directly below again. It's definitely heavy. As I'm fixing the bent spikes with my fingers, she points at me while holding her crotch with one hand and shaking with a pull. You can't point at someone else. Yuck. You're hurting me. What the hell are you doing? Hitting me over and over again. Just the usual maid routine. There's no maid like you. A maid like you is not supposed to be in my world. I'm sorry. I'm a thin, unhappy maid with a low profile. So, what the hell? While talking, the former goddess is blown away by a huge golden dragon's body strike. It looks like the attacks aren't working at all, but it seems that the former goddess power is decreasing just a little by little with each blow from the dragons. If the dragons decide to attack a few hundred more times, it looks like the former goddess will be defeated. Every dragon is damaged in its own way, so they might be wiped out before they can defeat her. You're in my way. The former goddess grabbed the wind dragon's tail that was about to attack her for nudging it away and swung it around with a giant swing, throwing only the tail that was cut off in the process at me. A dragon's tail can be detached, can't it? I catch the tail that flies at me, which looks like it's 5 meters long, and as soon as I can, I pluck the hem of my skirt and spin around to land on the roof of the church. My skirt flipped softly as I spun around. The head maid scolds me for being so shameless. Oh, what underwear you're wearing? Oh, this? The underwear that my lady refused to wear is a waste of money, so I am allowed to use it myself. Here, aren't they lovely? No, don't roll it up and give me that glimpse. The color is black. The former goddess is a pure-hearted girl. Is it possible that she was a little girl? The dragons unintentionally stopped their attacks and stared at us. Truly, the dragon tribe is a creature without discipline. Besides, I'm going to store the severed tail in the expansion bag that my lady entrusts to me. My lady told me that the bag's contents are about 100 kilos, but it seems that the amount varies depending on the magic power, so there's plenty of room for me to carry it, which is helpful for shopping. Seeing me putting away the tail, Jade, who knew I was going to use it as a foodstuff, had a twitching face. Please don't worry, I will share it with you properly. Gyugia. The blackened fire dragons, who seemed to have come to themselves quickly, showered the former's goddess with black and red flames. The damage doesn't seem to be much, but if you're a former human, that was, well, surprising, right? It's just right, so it's time to get serious. My skin turns from white to bronze, and the magic flooding out of my entire body tears my maid's clothes as if I've been left alone for 1,000 years. Demon a terrible rumor sucking in an overflowing amount of magic power. The Orc Killer X grew to about 10 meters in size. Wait, stop. Full swing, long driver shot, roared through the wind, and the giant screwdriver hit the former goddess. Nice shot. The former's goddess turned into a meatball and thrust into the square inches front of the entrance to the church chapel, creating a large crater. Come on, dragons, if you don't give chase quickly, she'll come back to life again. As I was about to chase after her to hit the next bunker shot, I saw several horsemen coming towards us from across the square. All of you, continue. Exterminate the evil spirits that trick the goddess. Apparently it's Yuri and the King's Guard. It's getting troublesome. Chapter 57, Graduation. 5. Yuri, Crown Prince of the El Grey Kingdom, was more irritated than ever before. The graduation party of the Academy of Magic is close to his engagement party with Clarice, the Saint of Light. In this country, a person becomes an adult at the age of 15. But engagements between families prior to that are considered temporary, and the person you are engaged to after this graduation party is considered your official fiancé. The official engagement party is hosted by the royal family at their castle, and Yuri is hoping to make an impression on the young nobles who will be taking charge of the kingdom. But his plan didn't work. First of all, Sharon, the Marquis's daughter, was an inferior student, feared and despised by the students for her harsh impressions. She was a good-looking girl, to begin with, but in less than a year she's blossomed into a glamorous flower, captivating those in attendance. Shyly taking Andy's hand as her escort, they looked at each other softly and smiled, a lovely sight that drew sighs of admiration from the women in the audience. Glossy hair and smooth skin, a high-quality dress in a seductive style. The purple diamonds adorning the bosom shone more beautifully than the ones Yuri had sent to Clarice. And Yuri's younger brother, the second prince, Joel. Unlike Yuri, who resembles his father, his younger brother, who inherited the graceful appearance of the queen, was popular among the young girls. But unlike Yuri, he was supposed to be the so-called extra fiancé of an appropriate young lady. But the lady Joel was escorting was a beautiful dark-haired girl he'd never seen before, and their affectionate manner with each other was the talk of the town. Because of those two pairs, Yuri and Clarice's entrance was hazy. Those who had previously been lying flat as if struck by lightning simply because Yuri appeared wherever they went, followed Sharon and Joel rather than Yuri. Why did this happen? Wouldn't it have been better to have the glamorous Sharon as queen than Clarice, even if she was a saint? The dark-haired girl, Ginkgo, seems to be from another world, and considering her history, wouldn't it be more popular with the people to have her as a consort? Clarice was also a beautiful daughter, but if you take out her position as a saint, she's just a baroness. It is only because of that position that she is recognized as the crown princess. He is also taking into account the high intelligence as the next queen, but he felt that just being a saint wasn't enough for him. When he glanced at Clarice, who was escorting him with such thoughts, she too looked up at Yuri with dissatisfied eyes and let out a small sigh as she removed her gaze. He smiled on the surface, but inside, anger was swirling around him. The thought of shouting at Clarice and forcing Sharon and Ginkgo to be his own passed through his mind, but he couldn't do that. Even if he were to make the two of them his side consort later, he would also receive a backlash from the nobles who were watching the situation now. Although frustrated, for now, attract the interest of the nobles to themselves. To that end, as they were about to head to the center of the hall, his sister, Princess Emily, suddenly began to say something unintelligible, and their gazes were further drawn to those two pairs. Emily, who thought she was at a disadvantage, began to say, "I received an oracle from the goddess," and then the dark-haired maid captured something that appeared from the altar. It was the evil spirit of a fat woman who had tricked the goddess. At first, it took the form of a beautiful goddess from mythology and church tapestries, but in the blink of an eye, it revealed itself and looked like a horrible evil spirit to Yuri, who had only seen beautiful ladies. When she called their names, both Yuri and the Holy Knight, Elias, face twitched. Aside from Elias, who was a church official. It would affect Yuri's reputation if he was thought to have something to do with that thing. The black-haired maid jumps out of the ceiling in pursuit of the escaped evil spirit. He thought she was a skilled maid who doubles as Sharon's guard, but he didn't expect her to have the power to fight even evil spirits for her lady, and the crudeness of her underwear, which he caught a glimpse of for a moment, made him want her again, but he doesn't think that's the right moment. Silence, men. We will now take out the evil spirits. My knights, follow me. Brother, it's dangerous, Joel shouted out as he hugged Ginkgo and protected her. Joel, you're here to fix things, and so are you, Andy. We can't let those two be any more active. This was where Yuri had to take care of the evil spirits. But, damn it. Clarice, you're coming. Show me the power of a saint. Yes. Clarice, who had warded herself and defended herself without Yuri's protection, stood up quietly as she replied briefly. Yuri led dozens of cavalry horses after the evil spirit while Clarice was mounted on the kinsman knight's horse and he drove his own horse. Clarice knew exactly where the evil spirit was. An evil spirit would be able to use Clarice's saintly power to the fullest. Finally useful, Yuri let out a breath. Clarice didn't perform their event with Yuri. This is because she didn't like the enmity with the creepy maid who is the partner of the villainous daughter Sharon. Even though she understood that it was real, Clarice, who still couldn't get rid of her game sense, thought that as long as she became the crown princess, the rest would be fine. Under such circumstances, there is no such thing as love, let alone an exchange of minds. Men, continue. Exterminate the evil spirits that tricked the goddess. When Yuri chases the evil spirit to reach the church, he is immensely disappointed. It would be so. You will be able to find a lot more than just a few of these in the world. Oh great dragons, servants of the goddess. This is our land. Leave it to us to deal with the demons that impersonate the goddess. Yuri believed that these upper dragons were the goddess's relatives, sent by the real goddess. It is said that before the founding of the country, this land was ruled by an evil dragon, and the goddess defeated it. If so, then these upper-level dragons were also servants of the goddess who were surrendered by the goddess. It is also a very good idea to have a look at the huge spider's shadow, which was only visible for a moment during the battle between the evil spirits and the dragons. When Yuri excitedly called out to the dragons to fight alongside the great dragon race to dispel such a horrible evil spirit, a tremendous amount of fury was released from the dragons. What are you talking about, you fool? Let's just go kill those dragons. From the crater created in the plaza, that fat evil spirit pops out of the crater with a dumpling voice. Does that evil spirit still intend to trick me into thinking it's a goddess? He felt as if the dragon's anger was directed at him for a moment, but they must have sensed that the evil spirits were coming out and warned him. Men, don't fall behind the dragons. Clarice, holy protection. Oh dear, His Highness Yuri has sold the opening fight to the dragons. His Highness Yuri, who received holy blessings from Miss Clarice, is attacking the former's goddess along with the knights. Even if the dragons are also the ones who came to defeat him, it seems that they are hard to deal with ordinary humans as their old goddess family members. Jade was enraged by His Highness' outburst but was stopped by the other dragons. Yuri, how dare you defy me? Nuisance, you evil spirit. Don't call my name with your foul mouth, you will be defeated. Exclamation mark. To put it bluntly, it's just a hindrance. There's no way you can use the holy power that uses the power of a goddess to fight her. Where I am. I was under the ground the moment His Highness Yuri appeared. I am Ferretti. I have decided to dive only into the ground or where my lady sleeps. She will stop at nothing to protect the melons from the cold. I'm in the middle of hand sewing a tattered maid's uniform. Oh, a few knights have been knocked off. As expected of an ex-goddess, the tension is very strong. For now, if they still have breath, let's pull them into the ground. I'd like to say that we got emergency rations, but since they are Mr. Andy's colleague, we don't want to be stingy with my lady's engagement partner, so let's keep them alive. Oh, well, it seems that even the numbed dragons have joined the fight. If it weren't for that rant, they wouldn't have gotten the humans involved. It's not that I can see what's going on outside, but I can get a general idea of what's going on with the threads I put out on the ground. But there's something strange about. Is this malice? It's a little different. It seems to be very twisted, but it's hard for ordinary people to have such strong feelings. They are different from the former goddesses and the dragons. Annoying. I'm going to reset this world. all together. Oops, I can't relax any longer. The maid uniform is just about ready, so I will join the fight. There aren't many knights left. Even Yuri is stunned. For now, I pull the breathing knights into the ground and try to find the right moment. Everyone, disappear. Nice shot. With a gong, there's a booming sound, and my spiky cudgel jumps out of the ground and hits the former's goddess in the groin. It's good. It's a critical hit. I am Fritty. Greetings to a surprised Yuri for now. GSH. The dragon seemed to have cut down a lot. The former's goddess was moaning with her eyes black and white as she held her crotch. Something from her mouth. That's it. Fruity. Take it away. Jade's voice echoes. Ah, I see, that's the core of your power, isn't it? Jade rushes in even as he calls out to me. Well done, Fruity. I'll finish it. At the same time, Yuri plunges into the former goddess with his sword. It's very disturbing. Jaya. At that time, something like a vine of light pierced the former goddess. Along that vine of light, their core of power flowed somewhere, and I finally got my hands on. A light blinked as if to illuminate the entire royal capital, and the figure of a girl shining in the center of the light appeared. That was the moment that the new god of this boxed garden world, the goddess Claris, appeared. I'm seriously troubled.